Good evening, I'm Nigel, your presenter and commentator for tonight's Cab Direct Championship match between the Plymouth Pro Park Gladiators and the Berwick Bandits. After freezing temperatures overnight across the UK, we've got a glorious night in Devon this evening for what should be a great night's racing here at the Coliseum. Both sides desperately need a win. Plymouth really is must win. They haven't won at home in the league yet this season, had a couple of narrow defeats against Workington and Redcar. Berwick, they've had one win away from home this season, but they're just outside those playoff places. If they can get the win tonight and pick up the aggregate bonus point, they would go joint top with Scunthorpe at the top of the Cab Direct Championship table. Berwick are defending a 47-42 lead from the first match up at Shieldfield Park back in the middle of May, and since then they've been badly hit by injuries. They're missing Rory Schlein, Jai Etheridge and Bastian Bork, but they brought in some very good guests this evening. Zach Cook comes in from Poole, and they've also brought in Paul Starke as well to help their cause, and Jason Edwards, who scored heavily for Redcar last week here at the Coliseum. Plymouth, well, they've also been injury ravaged, but they do welcome back Ben Barker tonight from a rib injury. Dan Thompson is also returning from illness, and in place of Nico Cavati at the top of the lineup, they have brought in Troy Batchelor, who scored heavily here for Workington a few weeks ago. All set for a great night's racing. Please enjoy.
Alfie, good to see you. Better night weather-wise tonight than it was last week.
Definitely, the sun's out this week in Plymouth, so happy days. Yeah, last week was a bit drowsy, that's for sure, but I look forward to it.
And you'll be looking to build on a really strong night last week. Obviously, a couple of wins in there, really good performances. Yeah,
definitely. Hopefully, we get the whole team going and we get a home win.
Just explain to us, how difficult has it been this season riding at number 2 without a recognised number 1? Obviously, you've had those 2 heats at Poole with Nico, but without having an actual contracted teammate, if you like, alongside. Just how tricky is that?
Yeah, no, it's obviously a bit harder, I suppose, just because you never know how Heat 1's going to go. Obviously, we get gelled by the middle of the year with someone usually, and you sort of get dialed in, but you just got to take every race as it is and just try and enjoy it.
And what's the mood like in the camp? Obviously, back-to-back home defeats, big chance tonight, just 5 points to make up on the Berwick Bandits. What's the mood in the camp going into tonight?
I think we're all keen, we're all up to it. Everyone's feeling confident with the track and their equipment, so we just got to do a track walk in a minute and we'll hopefully be good to go.
Confident to get overturning this 5-point deficit? Obviously, the Bandits patched up, a couple of ex-Plymouth riders gassed in for them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, their team looks all right, but no, I'm confident and hopefully get the job done.
Lovely. Keep up the good work, Alfie. Have a good night.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Stuart, really wish I was talking to you in better circumstances for the Bandits team. If you can just fill us in with the 3 riders who are out injured tonight, just how they are.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly. Rory Schlein, obviously being a captain, he got a bad one on Friday night. He's got some broken vertebrae, or certainly crushed vertebrae. He thinks himself that's his season's probably over. Thankfully, he's got feeling in his legs and that, and you know he will recover from it. Bastian Bork took a heavy crash as well at Poole Speedway a couple of weeks ago. He's making progress. There's no doubt about it. He's young, he's fit, and he's, you know, he might not just be finished for this season. You know, there is a glimmer of hope. The other one, obviously, out is Jai Etheridge, whose 9 days concussion were actually up today, but he's still getting stuff on headaches, and we can't really go forcing that on him. This is a track he likes. I think he scored 12+2 here last season, so we're certainly no at it. We've tried to bring her a superior guest. This is one track that we wanted him away from home. So that's the precarious state we find ourselves in. Paul Starke covers for Bastian Bork. Jason Edwards comes in for Jai Etheridge, and we'll get Zach Cook for Rory Schlein tonight. You know, which I'm pretty sure they'll do their job for us.
It must be quite handy being able to call on 3 guests who have such vast experience around the Coliseum as well.
Well, I never just picked him out of a hat, you know. I've done a bit of studying and looked at Speedway updates the last couple of years and had a wee nosy. I noticed Jason Edwards scored 11 points here last week as well. So, yep, listen, I know no 2 meetings are ever the same, but as you rightly say, I had a wee look. I know Zach Cook's been here as well, scored 7 points a couple of weeks ago with Poole, so Paul Starke rode here, but they need to do their job, simple as that. They'll need to do their job. They'll be tested with this Gladiators team tonight, so but hopefully they can give a good account of themselves, yeah.
And in amongst those bad news with the injured riders, of course, Louis Kerr returning, takes the captaincy tonight. Just how key is it having Louis back in the side?
Yeah, he's key to come back in. Obviously, it seems to be, you know, getting one back, one out. Same sort of thing as Plymouth, unfortunately. But Louis looked more like his old self on Friday as the meeting went on at Scunthorpe. He scored himself 9 points, and I think he's coming back to a bit of form. We know it's not going to happen overnight, but I'm hopeful he'll have a good showing tonight, yeah.
And overall then, a 5-point gap for the aggregate point going into tonight's fixture. As you say, they'll be tested tonight against a home team hurting after 2 successive home defeats. It's going to be a good test tonight, isn't it? Good fixture.
I think it's a good fixture. I know nothing's won on paper, but it looks two pretty evenly matched teams to me. Obviously, I think a lot for the Gladiators will depend on just how much the fitness of Ben Barker is. We know what he's like. He's at electric best round here. He's a spectacle. He's a sight to behold. If he's not quite 100% fit, it might give us a better chance, yeah.
Well, Stuart, all the best tonight. All the best to the 3 riders out injured. Let's hope for a good, clean meeting.
Thanks. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Let's run through the 2 team lineups for tonight's match here at the Coliseum. Plymouth Gladiators still without Nico Cavati at the top of the order, so Troy Batchelor comes into guest after doing very well here with Workington, and also last week as a guest against Redcar. Alfie BOWTELL is at number 2. Dan Thompson back from illness to take his place at number 3. Newman is at number 4. Ben Barker, the skipper, has recovered, or sort of recovered, from a rib injury to take his place at number 5 this evening. And the reserves are usual. It's Joe Thompson at number 6, Jacob Hook at 7, team manager Garry May. Well, Berwick Bandits have been badly hit by injuries in the last few weeks, but they have got Lewis Kerr at the top of the order, their skipper. Jason Edwards comes in as a guest at number 2 for Jai Etheridge. They've got Drew Kemp at 3, Danyon HUME at 4. Zach Cook is in as a guest, the pool pirate for the injured Rory Schlein, who looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season after fracturing a vertebra in his neck. Freddie HODDER is at 6, and they've got another guest for Bastion Bork at 7, and that is former Gladiator Paul Starke. Their team manager, Stewart DICKSON. Let's cross to Joe in the pits to get some reaction from the riders.
Yeah, thank you, Nigel. Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the Plymouth Coliseum for tonight's Cab Direct Championship fixture against the Berwick Bandits. This is an important one. Of course, the Gladiators starting tonight 5 points down from that defeat up at Berwick earlier on in the season. It's good to see a relatively full Gladiators pit lane here this evening. Of course, Ben Barker has recovered from that crash last week against the Redcar Bears here at the Coliseum. Limbering up, looks in good form with himself. Dan Thompson back after suffering from COVID. As we take a look at Troy Batchelor and Alfie BOWTELL in good conversation. Troy, who had such a good night here last week whilst guesting against the Redcar Bears. Quick take a look across to the Bandits pit lane. Full of ex-Gladiators, really. 3 of them in a riding context and 1 as a mechanic. Ben Trigger working on Danyon HUME's bike tonight, but we've got Zach Cook in guesting. Paul Starke down at reserve as well. Paul, who started here last season. We got Louis Kerr back, captaining the Bandits this evening. Much needed for the Bandits given their injury troubles. It's been tricky for the Gladiators. It's not been easy for the Bandits either. And Jason Edwards, who will be slotting in at number 2 tonight after a really good night here for his contracted Redcar Bears last week. But it's all pretty calm down here this evening. It's a lovely evening, it has to be said, at the Coliseum. The sun is out. Stewart DICKSON, he was in good form when I interviewed him pre-meeting. But the Bandits ready to make their way out onto the track for, as I mentioned, a really important night of Speedway here tonight. The aggregate point is all important, and the equation's simple. For the Bandits, keep it within 5. For the Gladiators, 6 or more required to take that aggregate point. Of course, we do have that potential of super heats later on, but me and Nigel will fill you in on that as the evening progresses. But the atmosphere is really good down here tonight. Has to be said, the Gladiators, as has been mentioned on pretty much every stream so far this season, really good spirits in that Gladiators pit. Great to see everybody getting on. You can see Troy and Alfie still in deep conversation. They seem to strike up a really good accord last week, and Dan Thompson, who you'd have to think is going to be really key to the Gladiators tonight, got a win on his 3rd ride last night whilst riding for Ipswich. Good to see Dan back. He really is all action and great entertainment around the Coliseum. As we take it back in, Zach Cook looking deep in thought. Louis Kerr, he will be the key man, you'd think, for Berwick. That matchup 1 and 2 tonight, Batchelor and BOWTELL versus Kerr and Edwards, is really one to keep your eye on, particularly obviously in heat number 1 when they come out together. There's a good strong pool presence here tonight as well, with Danyon HUME, and we got Paul Starke, ex-Pool. Zach Cook currently rides for Pool. Kyle Newman, ex-Pool. It's a Pool takeover for a Plymouth Berwick fixture. The riders are all ready to go for their Cab Direct Championship fixture. So let's hand over to Nigel and get the action underway.
Thank you very much, Joe. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a gloriously sunny Coliseum for this match here between Plymouth and Berwick. And big match. Plymouth, well, really is must-win territory for them. They've had a couple of home defeats already in the championship, and another one tonight really would be terminal. And Berwick, they've had one win on the road. They've raced 3 more matches than Plymouth so far. Obviously injury hit, but they've been very shrewd with their choice of guests. 3 former Gladiators in Zach Cook, Jason Edwards and Paul Starke, and joined up with Joe alongside me now. And Stewart DICKSON's been very clever there, hasn't he?
He certainly has, yeah. I mean, when you come into a track like Plymouth and down to the Coliseum, that you want track experience, and 3 really smart choices, I think, particularly Jason Edwards there at 2. Just mentioned in the pit walk that 1 and 2 battle was going to be a real key part of tonight. Jason Edwards was so good here last week for Redcar. If he replicates anywhere near that tonight, Berwick are going to be a very hard team to peg back.
And it's going to be about injured riders, or how they are, really, isn't it? You've got Ben Barker, who, having chatted to him before the meeting, he's far from fully fit, but typical Ben is going to give it a real go tonight. You've got Louis Kerr, who's just starting to come back from his bad injury, and then you've also got Dan Thompson, of course, who's just come back from illness. I think even on his Facebook today he's talking about still feeling a little bit weak, so how those 3 cope tonight is going to be very important.
It certainly is, and we're obviously hoping that the lads are all fit and ready to go. Obviously Ben, as you mentioned, it was a horrible crash here last week. It really was. I was on comms with Matty Bates, obviously, and we didn't see it at the time, but seeing it afterwards, it's pretty miraculous that he's here. Dan Thompson's obviously a bit of a quirky one. We don't quite know just how fresh Dan is. He got that win last night in his final ride for Ipswich in the Premiership, and as you mentioned, Louis Kerr often has it on rails around here, doesn't he? So if he's anywhere near 70-80% fit, he's going to take some stopping. Just to give you a warning, an advance warning, in a minute we're going to have a minute silence for Bill Lomas, one of the club's sponsors, who sadly died at the weekend. Our condolences to Bill's family and his friends. I think we're going to have the minute silence before the presentation of the riders, but we'll just get direction for that in a minute. But both teams up with their bikes at the tapes, and after some of the horrible weather we've had, it's gloriously sunny tonight, isn't it? It certainly is. It's a glorious evening. Hopefully it stays warm, but let's remember a great man in Bill Lomas. Yeah, Gareth Bemister, just the announcer, just informing the crowd as we begin this meeting tonight about Bill Lomas. In Bill's memory, with a minute silence. Here's the minute silence. Thank you, everyone. Bill Lomas. Immaculately observed, as you would expect. It's Bill Lomas, a great supporter of the Speedway here at the Coliseum. He's got his company has got advertising up on the airbag, and his family also sponsor one of the heats. So our thoughts very much with his family and friends at this very sad time. So a coin toss just taking place. And I think, looking at that, Louis Kerr won the toss. We'll just find out what he's chosen. I think I heard that Berwick are going 2 and 4. I think he said Gladiators.
Oh, sorry, beg your
2-4.
pardon.
Yeah.
But, I thought Louis Kerr looked like he won that. So
Unless he's deferred. He might have deferred.
yeah, possibly. But so Gladiators 2 and 4. So let's, as they go through the lineup, as I said, Paul Starke, who started last season here at the Coliseum, now riding for Glasgow Tigers, guested for Berwick at Scunthorpe at the end of last week, and back here guesting for them again. Freddie HODDER, who did brilliantly here in the British Under-21 semi-final, finishing in the top 3. Zach Kirk, of course, another former Gladiator, coming in as a guest for Rory Schlein, who's very sadly out for the rest of the season, but our best wishes to Rory if he is listening. Danyon HUME, another familiar face here, at former Pool Pirate, and alongside him another former Pool Pirate in Drew Kemp, who often rides quite well around here at the Coliseum. Number 2.
Most pool riders do ride pretty well around the Coliseum.
Another ex-Gladiator in Jason Edwards, who was excellent here last week for his parent club Red Car, and of course Louis Kerr, great to see him fit and firing. He certainly returned to form last week at Scunthorpe, I think it was. So starting to look back to his old self after his injury problems. Across to the Gladiators, Jacob Hook, who's doing a fine job at number 7 for the Gladiators. He's partnered, of course, by Joe Thompson, who's another one having a very impressive season. This
He is there.
Yes, there's Ben Barker. I was about to say, where's Ben Barker gone? But there is Ben Barker taking his place at number 5. Let's hope he gets through the meeting unscathed. Carl Newman, another former Pool Pirate, as you were alluding to in the pits a minute ago, at number 4. Dan Thompson, great to see him back after COVID. I've been ill myself with that recently, and this current strain is not very pleasant, so hopefully he's back to full strength. Alfie BOWTELL, who was magnificent last week against the Red Car Bears, as was the guest this evening, who also guested last week, Troy Batchelor. This is going to be a really interesting meeting. I've studied the lineups, and as we said before, there's a few question marks over the fitness of various riders, but as Stewart DICKSON said, it's looking very evenly matched, isn't it?
It is, and you're a braver man than me if you try and predict the result, that is for sure. I think, as you say, if you go down through the 1-7s, particularly with what Berwick have managed to do with their team and their guest bookings tonight, it has made it really evenly matched. I think that was Stewart DICKSON giving himself a little pat on the back with what he said. But you're right, the Gladiators have to be on form tonight. We know so much of it is won and lost at the start. The last 2 home meetings, they really have been outgated around the Coliseum. They have to be hot on it from the minute those tapes go up. If they do, then that 5-point gap will erode very quickly.
And it's a fine margin between winning and losing, isn't it? They've had some narrow home defeats here. They just need to turn some of those into W's. And you look through the side, and they're all doing well at certain stages. They just all need to come together in one evening.
Yeah, you do get the sense that at some point this season, somebody will take a bit of a hammering down here where everything will click. I think back to a couple of years ago, when the Leicester Lions came down in that really successful season they had, and they got a hammering 60-30 down here when everything clicked for the Gladiators that night. So, a night like that isn't too far around the corner. We saw last week people like Alfie BOWTELL really put in a strong shift here last week, and you'd like to think that it'll probably only take 4 or 5 of them tonight to do that, and let's hope it's a positive night for the Gladiators.
Carl Newman will be one who's looking for a bit more consistency. He's been brilliant at times here this season, but he's also had 1 or 2 off nights as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you think back to that 14 paid 15 earlier on in the season, wasn't it? In one of the clashes, it might have been the BSN clash against Oxford, I think it was. So Kyle will know that perhaps his form hasn't quite been where he wants it to be, but it hasn't helped the stop-start nature of the fixture list, and hopefully with a bit of consistency as we go into hopefully a bit warmer than what we've got now that the wind's blowing in, but hopefully, with a bit more consistency in the fixtures, that Kyle and the rest of the team can really hit their stride, because we know how good these riders are.
You're talking about brave men predicting the result. I think you're a brave man wearing a T-shirt tonight, because once that sun goes in, I think I was looking at the weather earlier, and overnight in the UK, I think there was places that got down to 1 degree, which in the middle of June is quite ridiculous.
I'm eyeing up my jumper that I've strategically placed behind me already. I'd hoped I wouldn't need it till after the interval, but I might be calling for it early tonight. tonight.
Yes, no, I took the decision to get the jacket on early because bearing in mind what we're expecting. So just waiting for the riders to come out for Heat 1. After the weather we've had recently, though, this is glorious tonight, isn't it? It was a horrible night here last Tuesday, but tonight, you know, the sun is out, there's no forecasted rain, track's looking good, all set, aren't we?
Yeah, it is, and you know, we stressed last week that it was that shower just before the start that really put pay to the track work that had been done, and you're right, the track's looking in great nick so far already. It's been well watered. I suspect we might have a bit of a dust problem later on, but I'm sure Mark will be hot on it with his water trucks. But it's always set up for a good night's racing at the Coliseum. The track's very rarely a problem these days. You know, the hard work that everyone put in over the winter has set it up, and let's just hope tonight we don't have anywhere near as much drama as we had last week.
Well, I'm really looking forward to this one. The referee tonight is Wayne Jarvis, who's gone through all the necessary paperwork and track preparation before the meeting starts, and this is going to be a very tasty opening heat with just 1 minute 30 left on the 2-minute time allowance. And this will be a good indication, maybe, this opening heat, of the way this match will progress. In Gate 1 in yellow for the Bandits, their guest Jason Edwards, and Gate 2 in blue for the Gladiators, the inform Alfie BOWTELL. Gate 3 for the Bandits is Louis Kerr, and Gate 4 in red for the Gladiators is their top line guest Troy Batchelor. And this is mouth-watering start to the meeting.
It certainly is. Yeah, this is as even as the two teams are going to get all night here in Heat 1, and be interesting as we look down the track here, just where they line up. It was very noticeable a couple of weeks ago. The gates 2 and 3, they were trying to get as close to the middle of the track as they can. So it'll be interesting. Last week it was more an outside favourable track. Let's see tonight whether or not we're more even spread across the 4 gates.
Batchelor's had 9 races here this season for either Workington or guesting for Plymouth. He's either won or had a paid win in 6 of them, which is a pretty good conversion rate, isn't it?
Certainly is. Wouldn't mind a bit more of that tonight.
Great to see him back to his old self after probably a couple of seasons of struggles. Him and Craig Cook both firing on all cylinders for the Workington Comets this season. Shouldn't be too long before he gets a chance in the Premiership. Here we go for heat number 1. And it's Alfie BOWTELL who gets out in front, but Louis Kerr goes around him. Oh, and the red light has come on. No doubt an unsatisfactory start from here. That looked all right, but I'm sure the referee spotted something.
I think Alfie was a bit twitchy. It looked here as we see on the replay. We'll get a good shot of it here.
Oh yeah. Just jumped, didn't he? Just jumped the start.
I admire the keenness.
Yeah.
For what is set to be a good start to the meeting, but yeah, just rein it in a little bit this time, Alfie, given you're now on a warning.
Yeah, certainly don't want an early exclusion for BOWTELL. So here we go again. Jason Edwards off Gate 1 in yellow, Alfie BOWTELL in Gate 2 in blue, Louis Kerr, Gate 3 in white, and it's Troy Batchelor, Gate 4 in red.
I mean, if he can get that sort of start and get out in front of Ben too, we won't be too unhappy. Let's just hope he does it a little bit more legally this time. I
think Troy Batchelor will be glad to have a second bite of the cherry here, because he was rather left a little bit there by Louis Kerr.
Yeah. And that was one of Troy's advantages here last week, actually, was he was very quick out of the gates last week.
So let's try again with the rerun of heat number 1. And Louis Kerr's made a good one this time. And Kerr's got his nose in front, and it's Jason Edwards just got his nose ahead of Troy Batchelor, who's going round the outside of Ben's 3 and 4. Edwards though has got ahead of him, and it's the Bandits on a 5-1 at the moment.
Yeah, really good start from Louis Kerr, as you would expect around here. Really does know this place so well. Really intelligent ride from Jason Edwards as well. Troy Batchelor trying various different lines already. He tried going high and wide early, that didn't work. Now he's going to try and get up the inside. Can he get it done? Not quite, but this is going to be a really interesting last lap.
Yeah, Batchelor doing his utmost here to try and get past Jason Edwards, and he's done him. He's gone through on Ben 4. So Troy Batchelor in the 2nd place. Alfie BOWTELL way away at the back at the moment, but Louis Kerr is going to lead the riders home. Troy Batchelor 2nd and Jason Edwards 3rd. So it's white Louis Kerr, red Troy Batchelor, yellow Jason Edwards and Alfie BOWTELL in blue coming home in last place.
Yeah, really good ride by Louis Kerr, wasn't it? And, you know, he does so well around here. You know, even in his Oxford days, he was a real strong component of their team, and that was a real masterful ride. And it certainly looks like he's back to his best at the moment.
52.43, the winning time for Louis Kerr, just 0.11 outside the track record set by Richard Lawson. Second was Troy Batchelor in red, third Jason Edwards in yellow, fourth Alfie BOWTELL in blue. So that's a 4-2 to the Bandits, and they've made a very good start here.
They certainly have, and that 5-point gap is it's not going to be easy to claw back as we thought it would be, but Alfie was just a little bit more tentative this time, I thought, off the gate with that warning. And we're going to see, hopefully, here as the riders come out, that Louis Kerr gets a really good gate. Troy Batchelor, I'm not sure whether it was he just didn't quite have the pace off the gate to go around the outside there, and Louis just cut across to the inside, and that made it difficult. And that's the intelligence of Jason Edwards there, keeping it to the inside, pushing Troy Batchelor wide, where you don't want to be this early in the meeting, and then just cuts him off there as we go into the bend. But this is a really good lap here from Batchelor, where he builds up the speed as it goes on and manages to find his way up the inside of Jason Edwards in what was a really strong start for Batch.
The riders getting ready for heat number 2. This is the reserves race, and off gate 1 in red we have got Joe Thompson. Gate 2 in white for the Bandits is Freddie HODDER, as I said, did really well in the British under-21 semi-final here a few weeks ago. Gate 3 in blue is Jacob Hook, and gate 4 a welcome return to the Coliseum for former Gladiator Paul Starke. He's in yellow, and again another hard to call race, this one.
It certainly is, and you know, in Paul Starke you've got somebody who definitely knows his way round this track. Even back in the days of the Plymouth Devils, you know, he was a strong part of that unit back in the early 2000s, the late 2000s, early 2010s. So he knows his track very well, but equally he's got 2 reserves up against him here for the Gladiators, who, particularly Jacob Hook, he's had some really consistent nights of late, but he'll want to try and get a race win as quickly as he can.
So here we go for heat number 2. And as Joe Thompson has made a great gate off the inside, and following him around those first 2 bends is Jacob Hook. So Gladiators looking like they're going to hit back well at the moment, but it's Paul Starke putting the 2 Plymouth riders under pressure at the front.
He certainly is, and I just wonder whether Joe's just going to have a little glance over his shoulder in a minute just to see where Jacob is. Paul just lost a little bit of momentum there going into bends 1 and 2, but Jacob's riding an intelligent line again. Paul Starke there back in third, just gets a little bit out of shape. This is really smooth and stylish though for Joe Thompson, and it's just what the doctor ordered, I think, for his season for Jacob Hook.
Yeah, Thompson looking really good out front, and Jacob Hook following in his tyre tracks. Opened up a bit of a gap now over the rider in yellow, Paul Starke, but this is just what Plymouth would have wanted after that early setback in the first race. So it's a 5-1 to the Gladiators. Red, blue, yellow, white, the finishing order. Joe Thompson, the race winner.
Yeah, really good from Joe, and he's so good. He's like gold dust down at reserve. You know, a lot's been made of the strength of the Gladiators reserves, and we're seeing it in droves there. You know, those 2, they knew exactly where they'd be going, they knew exactly what lines they'd be taking, and that's a real strong start for the pair of them.
54.45 is the winning time for Joe Thompson in red. Second in blue was Plymouth's Jacob Hook, and then third and fourth of the 2 Bandits duo, Paul Starke in yellow in third, Freddie HODDER bringing up the rear in white in fourth place. So 5-1 to the Gladiators, puts them 2 points ahead at 7 points to 5, and cuts the aggregate deficit to just 3 points.
It's going to be one of them nights. I think you're going to see the gap eroded and then grown, and it's just going to go to and fro throughout the course of the night. But that's a real strong start for Joe. Now the thing for Joe now is to carry that on. I think he's won with his last 2 opening rides of the night, and then gone and got a 4th place in his second ride. So hopefully for Joe that he can really kick on now and have a real strong night, because you know, with the strength of these reserves, they're going to be key to winning so many meetings for the Gladiators this season.
They certainly are. They deliberately went for a stronger reserve pairing this season, Mark Phillips and Garry May, and it certainly paying off at the moment as the riders come up to the tapes for heat number 3. In white in gate 1 is Drew Kemp, former Poole Pirates. In blue in gate 2, Carl Newman for the Gladiators. Gate 3, another former Poole Pirates in Danyon HUME in yellow, and in gate 4, Dan Thompson in red for the Gladiators, back from illness, and he'll be looking to return to the form he was showing before he had his enforced layoff. And he's had 1 or 2 meetings, isn't he, I think, already for the Ipswich Witches, but he's off that outside gate.
He had a good day on the continent as well, didn't he, at the weekend in a qualifier, which will really help his confidence. Hopefully we see the Dan Thompson we were seeing of 3-4 weeks ago, because he really was worth the entrance fee down here. He's the real key figure. His average is only 5.57, but that doesn't tell anywhere near the story, I think, of what he's capable of.
No, that's he's scoring well above that at the moment, isn't he? He's one of those nightmare riders that if he got injured at the moment, you'd really struggle to replace on that average. But so Thompson, Newman, Kemp, Hume in race number 3. And it's Carl Newman who's made a good start there, but coming around the outside is Danyon HUME. Can he get around Newman on that 3rd and 4th bend? Hume staying brave, sticking out by the fence, just locked up slightly there, giving Newman the chance to pull clear. And it's Dan Thompson in 3rd place.
Yeah, Dan's really going to try and get after Danyon here, and he just got out of shape there off bends 3 and 4, and he's done it again. I'm not sure if there's something on the track there. All 3 riders at the back just seem to really struggle to get round bends 3 and 4. It certainly put Drew Kemp off. And now Danyon HUME goes wide, and up through goes Dan Thompson. What a move.
Yeah, he just pulled another locker again on bend 2. He's done 3 of those in that race already. But, and again, he's come off in front of us, just slid off on the first bend. I don't know if there's something wrong with the bike, but he's a little bit all over the place, and Drew Kemp has come underneath him. But it's a comfortable 5-1 for the Gladiators. It's finished blue, red, white, yellow, and the race winner is Carl Newman.
Yeah, that's a really interesting heat, and perhaps not all for the best reasons, is it? Because the Bandits really did struggle there. They both had issues at varying points of the lap, but the 2 Gladiators just kept their heads down out front and just got the job done. And for Kyle Newman, we talked about it before the meeting about his perhaps in and out of form. That's a real boost for him.
54.05 the winning time for Carl Newman. In blue, Dan Thompson, 2nd in red for the Gladiators, and then it's Drew Kemp who eventually got 3rd place for the Bandits, and Danyon HUME coming in 4th. So a 2nd successive 5-1 for the Gladiators makes it 12 points to 6, and they've now got their noses in front on aggregate, 54 to 53.
What was it the former president of the USA used to say? Stop the count, I think it was he used to say in the elections. But here we go from the gate, and you'll see really smart from Kyle Newman here. And as they head into bends 1 and 2, Danyon HUME just tries to go around the outside, and he was sort of in no man's land a little bit, and this is where Kyle Newman's intelligent. He sends it up that inside. Danyon HUME just squares up there a little bit, and this is where Joe Thompson just starts to think, I've got a chance here, and he keeps the pressure on. At the back, Drew Kemp's just having a few little issues, whether or not it's setup wise, only time will tell, but there you can see that Danyon HUME really found himself in all sorts of bother, and Dan Thompson knows if he can keep the pressure on, and again there, I mean, that's really awful to see for Danyon. It's good that he kept, the partnership with the bike.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was happening with Danyon HUME, because he had the pace. This is where he completely spins it round on the first bend, but it was almost like a bucking bronco he was trying to hang on to there.
It certainly was, and as you said in the call, Nigel, it was just nice and easy for the Gladiators from there. And the main thing for the 2 Bandit riders was there. They got round. They got another 3 program rides to go to put it right, and I'm sure they'll be making some setup changes down there in the pits at the moment.
Well, it's been a real topsy-turvy start to this meeting, as we probably expected with these 2 evenly matched sides, but interesting, there's a bit of track grading going on, which is probably a little bit earlier than we'd normally expect, heat 3, but maybe after what was happening, we said there was 1 or 2 riders struggling out there in that first race, so maybe the riders have requested it.
It definitely seemed like it on bends 3 and 4 as they went in on lap 2 there. The 3 at the back, Kyle Newman seemed to get round it fine, but the other 3 at the back tried to go up the inside, and they just seemed to get out of shape a little bit. I don't think there's any real issues. Mark's not really focusing on that corner per se. He's doing plenty, as we just see a couple of adjustments already going on in the pits on the stream to one or two of the bikes. And, you know, perhaps it was just an issue that they had too much power on going into the bends. You don't know. I mean, I'm not exactly qualified to talk about how to get a bike around here. As mentioned a few weeks ago, I wouldn't even dream of it. He's
just dragging a little bit of dirt back onto the inside line a little bit, isn't he? So it's as I said, it's dry, it's fairly warm, it's windy, so it's all really drying conditions, isn't it, tonight?
Yeah, it's my third time on comms on Gladiators TV, and I've had 3 different seasons in the three fixtures I've had, and you know, let's hope that we can get a bit of sun out at the moment, because my jumper's looking pretty appetising at this moment in time.
So we've just had the tractor to drag the dirt back onto the inside line. It's Garry May just chatting to his troops in the pits there. Now they're just going to smooth the surface out with the next bit of kit they've got here.
Seems in good spirits at the moment, Garry.
Yeah.
Seems in really good form.
Well, as I said, taking away the Nico Cavati problem, it's the team they put together is not far off being a really good side. It's fine margins, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you've got any luck at all, it tends to be bad luck. And it's the fact that Nico Cavati got injured on his final ride before coming across to Europe for the summer season, you know, and he gave it a go at pool, and he just didn't quite feel comfortable by all accounts. And obviously now the decision's been taken to, I think it's suspending his licence, isn't it, for a period of time. So as I say, if the Gladiators had any luck at all, it'll only be bad after the last couple of seasons. But just fingers crossed that that's behind us now, and you know, with a positive result tonight, we can try and kick-start this championship campaign into what I think everybody will agree on paper could be quite a promising one with this unit.
Yeah, they've only raced 4 meetings, haven't they? If they're 16, so it's still only a quarter of the season gone. And normally when you've lost 2 or 3 at home, you know, we're supporters as well as commentators. You get fans saying, "Oh, we need to get rid of him. We need to get rid of him." But I'm not hearing any fans making any cases for any of the Gladiators riders to be parted with, because as I said, they're all doing decent jobs, aren't they?
It's not for the want of trying.
Yeah.
It's just 1 or 2 little things. As I said, you got to go back to the Workington meeting and take the hat off to them. They just won almost every heat from the gate. Ironically, the only heat that they didn't win from the gate was heat 15 when the meeting was done and dusted. And with the aggregate points, that's always going to make it tricky now, because to get that aggregate point, you've got to win home and away.
Let's just have the video from the sponsors coming up. Over to all those companies and people who sponsor the Gladiators. The backing is very much appreciated. We've now got the water truck going round, so as you said, there was a danger it was going to start getting a little bit dusty, so good to lay the dust a little bit there.
And if there's one thing Mark hates, it's dust.
Yes.
He's quite happy to tell us all that when he gets the microphone at the end of a night. He hates dust.
Well, it's nothing worse than going home at the end of a meeting and your clothes have changed colour, is it, really? So
no, definitely not. Good to see young Ben Trigger helping out Danyon HUME, and Ben had a really good night here last week, unfortunately, for the Red Car Bears. And, you know, Jason Edwards, I think he's probably, with all due respect to the other guests, because I'm sure they're going to do a good job for Barrett tonight, but I think Jason Edwards is probably the shrewdest pickup of all. Jason's one of those that he's always going to give you everything, and he's going to leave it all out on the track, and he's certainly going to be trying his best for Berwick all night tonight, even though, you know, they're not his team, but that doesn't seem to matter to him one bit.
I really like Jason Edwards. Whenever he's interviewed, he's always got a big smile on his face. He must be great to have in the pits as a teammate, always bouncing around, plenty of enthusiasm, loves his speedway, and you know, always happy to sign autographs, as many of the riders are. But he's a great guy to have in a team lineup.
Yeah, you do tend to see on social media pre and post meetings, you know, Jason Edwards is often one who appears in a lot of people's a lot of people's photos, you know, he seems to understand just what it means to supporters who pay their money to come and see these guys put everything on the line, and he's always more than happy to have photos and, as you say, you know, sign autographs and programs and whatnot. So as you say, he's one of those Rolls Royce athletes, isn't he, that you don't get sadly in other sports, but you certainly get plenty of them in this one.
Apologies for that slight technical glitch. Yeah, I was saying a couple of years ago I took my boys up to see Newcastle v Redcar. Sadly, it was, I think, the penultimate meeting for Newcastle before they shut down, and the boys went up and got Jason Edwards' autograph, and nothing was too much trouble, and he spent time chatting to them, and they absolutely loved it. You know, it was, as I said, there's many riders do that sort of thing, but he's particularly good at it.
Wayne Jarvis trying to keep his eyes out of the sun, I think.
Yes.
Standing up in his referee's box.
It's not great from a referee's point of view. There's a little bit of cloud just coming across the sun there.
Let's hope that's all it is.
Yes. Heat 4. We've got 1 minute 40 left on the 2 minute time allowance. Just a reminder, it's 12 points to 6 to the Gladiators, leading 54-53 on the battle for the aggregate bonus point. And here we see the first outing for Ben Barker. How fit is he? From a Gladiators point of view, we hope he's very fit. And Zach Cook, of course, out in this one as well. So in Gate 1, second outing of the night for Paul Starke for the Bandits in yellow in Gate 1. In Gate 2, Gladiators Jacob Hook in blue. Gate 3, the guest for the Bandits in place of the injured Rory Schlein, Zach Cook in white. And in Gate 4, that man, the Plymouth skipper, Ben Barker.
In answer to your question, how fit is Ben Barker, I think we're about to find out.
Yes,
he will tell you very, but I think the proof is about to be in the pudding.
He's a very brave boy, Mr. Barker, and well, even Stewart DICKSON said that Ben's fitness tonight he considered to be probably one of the key factors in this meeting. He's off the outside gate in this particular heat, and Zach Cook is alongside him, so that's going to be a really good battle into the first turn.
It will, yeah. When they initially got up to the tapes, Ben was quite close to the inside of his gate box, and he's just moved over a little bit. I did think we might be getting a bit of handlebar action, but it seems like we're going to be spared that for time being.
So here we go for heat number 4. Zach Cook's made a good one off Gate 3. Ben Barker going around the outside, trying to get around the outside of him. But it's Zach Cook leading down the back straight. Barker in second. In third place is Jacob Hook, and it's Paul Starke at the back.
Yeah, really good start from Zach Cook. It was quite tight there with Ben Barker at the beginning. Ben looks pretty comfortable up to this point on the bike. It has to be said, he looks a lot more comfortable than his second ride a week ago. But Zach Cook looking super stylish out in front here. Looks really good, and it's important in the context of this meeting that Jacob Hook has slotted into third.
Yeah, there's a bit of a gap now between Zach Cook and Ben Barker, but Ben seems to be coping okay on his return from his rib injury. The dust is still flying even after just that watering, but this is a comfortable win for Zach Cook in heat number 4. So white crosses the line, followed by red, blue and yellow. Zach Cook, the comfortable heat winner of race number 4.
Yeah, really good ride from Zach Cook, and as I said, not to take any, when we were talking about Jason Edwards, not to take anything away from the other red car guests. You know, Zach, he knows his way around this place as well, having started his UK career at the Gladiators, and that was a really stylish ride. 52.98, I think that was.
52.58 was it?
58 or 98, one of the two.
Yeah, so Zach Cook was the race winner in white. Second in red is Ben Barker. Third in blue, Jacob Hook. Fourth in yellow is Paul Starke. So it's a 3-3 heat draw. Gives us a running total of Gladiators 15, Bandits 9, and it's still that 1 point lead on aggregate for the Gladiators, 57 to 56.
Yeah, we're going to see it here from the gate. As I said, it looked Zach Cook was quite keen to get to the outside of his gate box from the very beginning. Ben Barker looked like he was going to line up in the middle. He chose the looked on the inside. He chose the middle, but he was jet propelled from the start there, Zach Cook. And Ben Barker tried with all his might to go around the outside. And as we saw earlier on, I think it was Troy Batchelor tried to go around the outside. It's just a little bit too early for that. I suspect some point during the meeting you will be able to go around the outside of bends 1 and 2, and in particular 3 and 4 without new banking. It's just a little bit too premature for that at the moment.
Yeah, 2 minutes is on for heat number 5. And Louis Kerr won his first races out in this one for the Bandits. And Dan Thompson and Carl Newman, who also got a 5-1 for the Gladiators in their first outing. So this is going to be a real scrap for glory in heat number 5. And the lineup for this one. So just coming up to the tapes in just looking at that one, it's so coming up is Dan Thompson on the inside in red in gate 1. In gate 2 is Jason Edwards of the Bandits in yellow. In gate 3 is Carl Newman for the Gladiators in blue. And first outing winner Louis Kerr off gate 4 in white for the Bandits. This should be a very interesting first bend.
Yeah, it should, because as we mentioned earlier, you know, Carl Newman looked really good in his first ride, but Louis Kerr was agonisingly close to that track record in his first ride, and you don't imagine he's going to be getting any slower as the night goes on. Because, you know, as we mentioned beforehand with the injuries, you know, every race that Louis Kerr gets, he's only just going to get stronger.
So Louis Kerr off that outside gate. Green light is on. Here we go for heat number 5. Louis Kerr's made a good one, but it's his teammate there, Jason Edwards, who's got his nose in front. Kerr comes around the outside of Dan Thompson to take up second place, and the Bandits on a 5-1 here as they cross the start-finish line.
Yeah, just what the doctor ordered for Stewart DICKSON. Jason Edwards with a lightning start, and Louis Kerr slotting around the outside. This is perfect for them, just to hit back after all. Louis Kerr gets out of shape there, which gives Dan Thompson a chance, and as we saw in the last heat, you don't want Dan Thompson putting you under pressure, but Jason Edwards is looking stylish out in front again around the Coliseum.
Yeah, Louis Kerr almost had a gain, almost doing what Danyon HUME did on that bend, just slightly overcooking it, but Jason Edwards looking immaculate out front. We said he was a good choice of guest. Dan Thompson just lifting a little bit down that back straight, but it's the Bandits hitting back with a 5-1 here. It's yellow, white, red, blue, the race winner, Jason Edwards.
Yeah, got tight right at the end there between Dan Thompson and Louis Kerr. I think of 3 of the 4 laps there, Louis just got a little bit out of shape off bends 3 and 4, and that did give Dan Thompson a chance coming off the final bend, but Stewart DICKSON walking back across the track with a bit of a smile on his face. He'll be very happy with that, because Jason Edwards looks stylish, and you know, this is what we said, it's going to be going back and forth all night.
53.84 the winning time for race winner Jason Edwards in yellow. It's Louis Kerr, white, second for the Bandits, and then third place Dan Thompson in red for the Gladiators, fourth Carl Newman in blue. So the Bandits hit back with their first 5-1 of the evening. 16-14 at the progressive totals, and the aggregate score, it's back in the Bandits' favour now at 61-58.
Yeah, it's going to be one of them nights tonight, and we're going to see from the gate here just how good Jason Edwards was from gate number 2. He really lights the bike up straight away, and it's a really good start. Louis Kerr didn't make a bad gate at all actually off gate number 4. Dan Thompson tried to push him wide, but by then Louis had already built up his momentum and went round the outside. Carl Newman not really sighted at the back, which is a shame for him after such a good first ride, and from here on in Jason Edwards just gets further and further away.
Well, we said this was too close to call, two very evenly matched sides, and they're not disappointing us at the moment. There's very little to choose between these two as we get ready for the start of heat number 6. And sponsored by Andy Riddle and Jules Sweet. It's in white, Zach Cook, the Bandits guest off gate number 1. Gate number 2, Troy Batchelor in red. In gate number 3, it's Freddie HODDER, the Bandits reserve, in yellow. And gate number 4, Alfie BOWTELL in blue. And Alfie will be, he was a long way adrift in his first outing, so I'm sure he's made some changes to his bike and will be looking for a much better return this time.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw last week the professionalism of Troy Batchelor as well. He shepherded Alfie home in one of his middle races last week, and you know, something like that wouldn't go amiss here for Garry May and the troops as we tried to wrestle back that lead on that lead on aggregate. Of course, we lead on the night, but it only goes so far when an aggregate point's on the line.
So Troy Batchelor, second in his first outing for the Gladiators. And so in white is Zach Cook off the inside, then it's Troy Batchelor, then it's Freddie HODDER in yellow, and then Alfie BOWTELL in blue on the outside. Green light is on, and here we go. And it's another great start from Zach Cook. Batchelor and BOWTELL, tracking a BOWTELL, great move down the outside, going around the outside of Zach Cook to take the lead down that back straight. And is Alfie BOWTELL out in front?
Yeah, here comes Troy Batchelor though. He's going to have the bit between his teeth trying to hunt down Zach Cook. That was a wonderful ride by Alfie BOWTELL. There I was saying that outside line might not work just yet, and this shows how little I know about a speedway bike. He's obviously made changes, but this is looking silky smooth. Zach Cook is on the pace, just lifts a little bit there. That'll give Batch a chance with a lap to go.
What a difference to the first outing for BOWTELL. Obviously made some changes to his bike. Batchelor putting Zach Cook under pressure here, trying to turn this into a Gladiators 5-1. Cook just holding his line at the moment. Will Batchelor go around him on this final turn? He tries to. Will he catch him on the line? Wow, that's close. The crowd tend to suggest he might have got it. I think it was too close for us to say from here. But just Gareth, our centre green presenter, I think feels that Batchelor just got up and took that one. We'll have to wait for the referee though.
Yeah, this is a photo finish. Used to my horse racing days, the crowd certainly think it's a 5-1. It's a brilliant ride from Batch, even if he doesn't. And I think they've confirmed it, a 5-1. Wow,
well, tremendous from Troy Batchelor. You could see him lining that move up around that third and fourth bend. And BOWTELL, the heat winner, 53.45. Yeah, Troy Batchelor confirmed in second, so a 5-1. Gladiators hitting straight back to the 5-1 for the Bandits. Zach Cook was third in white, and Freddie HODDER fourth in yellow. So Zach Cook going from first to third. Gladiators winning that race 5-1, and they're now leading by 21 points to 15.
Give that man a pat on his back. Troy Batchelor, what a ride this is. Just when it looked like it wasn't going to be possible, as Zach Cook looked settled, he lifted there off the bend too, going into the final lap. I said it gave him a chance. I didn't think he'd be able to do it, but that outside line really starting to work. As we see it from the gate, it's fairly level. But watch Alfie here, he's outside no man's land, he's going right around the outside. I'm not even sure Zach Cook knew he was there, to be honest. Alfie flies around the outside. Zach Cook tries, to his credit. Again, we mentioned it wasn't for the one to try, and Zach Cook really gives it a good go. But you can just see as the laps progress, Troy Batchelor just starts to go a little bit wider off his line. Every single lap, you see there, he's gone further up into the banking a little bit. And we'll see it in particular here, just how wide he's going there. That's where Zach Cook lifts, and this is where Troy gets the chance. And he just sends it as much as he can to build up the speed, and with a lap to go, he has a little look there, and this is where you think he might have him. Zach Cook rides an intelligent line there off bends 1 and 2, and this is where Batchelor catches him napping a little bit. We're going to see a cracking camera angle here as Troy Batchelor flies around the outside, and by the time Zach Cook notices, it's all too little too late.
What a brilliant race that was, and we quickly move on to heat number 7, and it's the skipper Ben Barker out in red in gate 1 for the Gladiators, Drew Kemp in white in gate 2, Joe Thompson in blue in gate 3 for the Gladiators, and in the outside gate in yellow is Danyon HUME. And of course Hume came to grief in his first ride, but again I'm sure he'll have, I don't know if he needed to take a little bit of power off his bike, but as he said, it was almost like he was riding a bucking bronco in that first race.
It certainly was, and he was making changes. You know, he was in good conversation with Ben Trigger, as we mentioned. He knows his place probably better than Mark Phillips does, with the amount of laps that Ben's done in his life, whether it's a push bike or a speedway bike. But you know, there's some good people in Danyon's corner there, and Danyon knows the time of day. He's a very good rider, and I'm sure, having guested for Plymouth in the past, he'll know what's needed around this track.
This meeting certainly living up to all our expectations so far. Close racing, close scoreline as well as we get underway for heat number 7. That's a great gate from Ben Barker away from the outside, inside, and Joe Thompson trying to follow him round, but oh my goodness. Well, I think the red light had come on already, had it? It's the riders seemed to slow, and then Ben Barker and Drew Kemp have got tangled up, and they've both gone into the safety fence. on the third bend, and that looks, well, Drew Kemp almost went up the back of Ben Barker there, didn't he?
Yeah, I've absolutely no idea what's gone on there. I think that's just a bit of a lapse in concentration.
I think the red light had come on, hadn't it? They all seemed to slow, didn't they?
Ben was slowing up, and it just didn't seem like there was... I don't know what's gone on, to be honest with you. I've never seen an incident like that, and you know, we obviously keep our fingers crossed that both riders are right. This is the last thing that Ben Barker needs.
That is dreadful for Ben Barker.
And obviously, you know, we hope Drew Kemp's all right. He's being looked at now by a member of the track staff, and some of the medical team are going to go over to him as well. Drew's
sitting on the centre green, I think, isn't he?
Yeah,
but all the riders seem to slow. So I don't know. I was watching the riders as opposed to the red lights. I don't know if the lights went on for an unsatisfactory start or what, but they all seemed to slow. And then Drew Kemp sort of almost reared up on the back wheel of Ben Barker's bike, and the two of them just flipped over into the air fence on that third bend. It was, well, I mean, it was the only good thing is it happened at relatively slow speed because they were slowing down for whatever reason. But you know, very much thinking of Ben Barker at the moment, as we know he's come into this meeting with a rib injury. Drew Kemp, I think, is all right. He's just a bit winded, I think, just collecting himself on the centre green, but Barker is being attended to, and that must have been a bit of a scary one for the fans over there as well, because it's not, as he said, it's a strange incident, wasn't it?
Yeah, it didn't look great for Ben, to be honest with you. It was a real nasty incident. I mean, we've seen some horrible incidents in Speedway, and at the moment all that really matters is that Ben gets the treatment that he needs. It's good to see Drew Kemp on his feet, because it's not going to be a nice experience for him either. We should remember that, you know, it's a really nasty collision. As I say, without actually seeing a replay, we're not going to know what went on, and at the moment that doesn't matter. All that matters is how Ben is, and you know, he takes all the time he needs to get the treatment that's required. But in all the time I've been watching Speedway, I don't think I've ever seen anything like what we just witnessed.
It's a strange one. Yeah, we just need to reiterate the policy is that we don't show any replays until we're sure all the riders are fine and they're up on their feet. So, you know, obviously Drew Kemp's okay, but Ben Barker's still receiving treatment. And, Ben's mechanic Mark Simmons was just alongside us, and I'm not quite sure what. Don't know if he wanted to see a replay, maybe, but as we just said, we won't be showing a replay until Ben is okay. But as I said, it's the last thing Ben would have wanted. He's already carried a rib injury. He would have just been hoping to go through the meeting tonight, not hitting the deck, and then that happens, and not good news.
Yeah, it's a really weird one, as Drew, you know, makes his way over now, nice and slowly, which is important. That obviously, if he is winded, he doesn't rush his way over, and you know, all that really matters in this situation is that no matter how long it takes, that Ben gets the treatment that he needs to get himself righted again.
It's going to be a difficult one for the referee, I think, to make. I mean, there's an ambulance just coming round the side of the track. That is not a good sight. So just going down the back of the Colin Hill stand on that back straight. So, well, it's. You know, it comes with the territory with Speedway, doesn't it, that riders are going to get injured, but as we said, he was feeling very sore already going into this meeting. And let's have a look at the gate stats so far this evening. So it's all pretty even, isn't it, really? Gates 2 and 3, a couple of wins each. Gates 1 and 4, 1 win apiece. And points-wise, well, Gate 4 has picked up 12 points. But so we've had probably some of the best riders out in Gate 4, haven't we? So
yeah, we certainly have, and it's just like it was a fortnight ago here, where, you know, 2 and 4 seems to be the golden highway, if you like. You know, the Gate 2 was the place to be a couple of weeks ago for wins. Gate 4 was, I think, one of the highest scoring gates, and we're seeing that there. Although it's only got the 1 win, it's actually got the highest points yielded of the other 3 gates, on the track. So as the night goes on, it'll be interesting to see if that changes at all.
Obviously, if Ben is unable to continue, then injury rider replacement will be available to the Gladiators, and riders of an equal average or below can take his rides. Let's run through the lineups as the scores so far. Obviously, Troy Batchelor paid 5 from 6. I said Alfie BOWTELL miles behind at the back in Heat 1, then turned it around with a cracking Heat win on his second outing. Pretty solid all the way through there from the Gladiators, all of them getting 3 points apart from Ben Barker with 2. Good solid scoring, giving them 21. Berwick, well, Louis Kerr obviously unbeaten by the Gladiators so far, 5+1. Jason Edwards, as we said at the start, was a very good choice of guests with 4, as was Zach Cook with 4. But the other 4, well, obviously Drew Kemp and Danyon HUME just had the 1 ride so far, and they were out in that one. But Paul Starke, he'll be disappointed with 1 point from 2 rides so far.
Yeah,
Well, we're waiting for Ben to be treated. We shall watch some action from last week's match here between Plymouth and Redcar.
Right, we'll go off white off gate 1. Off gate 2 in red is Troy Batchelor. Off gate 3 in yellow is Dan Jilks. And off gate 4 in blue is Carl Newman, who will be the first for turn 1. So as the tapes rise, you can see there, that's a great start from Troy Batchelor. Troy Batchelor has got across Charles Wright, but Charles Wright having a little nibble up there at the inside, but Troy back down the back straight. Right across Charles Wright. That's needed at the moment. You can see Carl Newman there coming up the rear. He's just past Dan Jilks. Dan Jilks has repaid the favour. 2 races going on in 1 at the moment. Carl Newman right back up again. This is great stuff for the Gladiators. Definitely needed at this point of the meeting. You see there, Troy Batchelor getting his wheels in line, looking nice and quick out in front. Charles Wright is applying the pressure a little bit, but Troy is establishing himself a bit of a lead now. Carl Newman, in fairness, is catching up with Charles a little bit, and he's pulled away a little bit from Dan Jilks, which bodes well for the rest of the meeting. Going into the final lap now, Troy Batchelor's still in the lead. It's very close between all 4 of them, to be honest. None of them can afford to make a mistake at this point. But it looks like it's going to be a 4-2 to the Gladiators and a much-needed heat advantage with only 2 heats remaining. So we can see there, that was a fantastic ride from Troy Batchelor, the Australian, the former GP rider, showing his class above all in that race. Fantastic win, looked stylish, looked fast, looked like he knew what he was doing. As we see the official race card from that one, we can see it was a first in red for Troy Batchelor, second in white for the Bears was Charles Wright, third in blue was Carl Newman, and in 4th in yellow was Dan Jilks, currently now for the Redcar Bears.
So we're just watching the sad sight of Ben Barker just being put onto a stretcher to be loaded up into the ambulance. Well, we've got this delay in racing. Let's cross to Joe in the pits.
Yeah, we're down in the pits now as we make sure that Ben Barker gets all the treatment that he needs out on the track. It looked like a really nasty incident as we look at the Thompson twins just chilling out in between races. So far we'll try and see if we can grab a word with Dan. Dan, just grab a quick word. How you feeling, first of all?
Better. Just yeah, feeling better myself. Still not 100%. Feeling a bit weak and that, but slowly getting back to it.
Must have been nice to get back out on the bike in the continent the weekend and back out for Ipswich last night, though, just to give you that confidence and reassurance that it's you still have the fitness levels, if you like, to carry on after such a horrible virus.
Yeah, no, I was happy with how I ended last night and happy with my weekend in Italy. Still not quite 100% fitness, but got to keep going or you get bans in this sport. So yeah, just carry on.
Certainly do, and it was a good start, obviously, in Heat 3, following Kyle in for a 5-1. Looked a little bit tricky for a couple of the riders at the back there, coming off Ben's 3 and 4, but eventually got the move done on Danyon HUME.
Yeah, the track is a little sketchy. As I can see, he's making a lot of mistakes in front of me, so it's just a matter of sitting tight behind him and waiting for a big mistake, which did come. So just picking up the points there, and it is tricky to pass, but obviously Troy and Alfie just had 2 good moves then, so hopefully the track will come a bit better.
Fingers crossed for another successful night. Dan, thanks for talking to us. Make our way out. Leave Dan alone, he doesn't want to be speaking to me all night. As we look across at some of the work going on some of the other bikes, there's Mark Simmons attending to Ben's bike. As we mentioned on the stream, fingers crossed that Ben is going to be okay. It looked like a pretty nasty incident out there, and rightfully he is getting all the time in the world to get the treatment that's needed for whatever it is he's picked up. As we head over into the Berwick pits to see what's going on over here, we can see Drew Kemp just firing up his bike. Good to see Drew back on his feet. A nasty incident for him as well. Let's not forget that although Ben is being looked at by the ambulance staff at the moment, you know, Drew was involved in that, and it won't be a nasty, or it won't be a pleasant experience for him. As we look, the spirits are still high between the riders here. Jason Edwards obviously with a really good win in his last outing. Alfie BOWTELL looking quick on his second start of the night, and Troy Batchelor. What else can you say about that ride there in heat number 6? What a move to go round the outside of Zach Cook. Hopefully he's not telling him all the secrets of how it was done, as they're in good conversation. The 3 Aussies trying to learn off one of his native homeland's very best in Troy Batchelor. There isn't much that he hasn't won back home in Australia, and the 2 young Aussie lads just picking the brains of Troy as we make our way up towards the gate and just see what the rest of the riders are up to. You can see the 2 Berwick lads who were involved in that incident there in Danyon HUME and Drew Kemp. As we look at Paul Starke as well, gives us a cheeky little look on the stream. Paul will be hoping for better from his next couple of rides that he's put in so far, but you know with Paul, he's never going to stop trying. He's always going to give you everything that he's got. As we look at the trio of Aussies, plenty of Australians in the sport. Great to see them still in British Speedway, and great to see Troy with so much enthusiasm still in the game as well. When he's on form, he really is one of the best characters to watch. As we look at 2 young British lads in deep conversation, Jason Edwards and Alfie BOWTELL, both will be pretty pleased with their efforts in the last 2 rides. Jason having a solid night so far, 4 points guesting, and Alfie with that brilliant win, followed in by Troy Batchelor. Sort of like roles reversal from the last time that they went round here, as we make our way back in. So look at one of Drew Kemp's bikes there, just to see what's going on. You can see some other bikes to the side. See one of Paul Starke's bikes there, and as we make our way around, it's pretty quiet down here at the moment. Obviously there's a lot of concern for Ben Barker out on track, and rightfully he will get the attention he deserves. But for now, let's head back up to Nigel and I'll go join him on the commentary podium.
Thank you, Joe. It's, just wondering, is that Ben up on his feet? I'm not. We're a long way from the action over here, but I'm not sure if that is Ben up on his feet. But we'll get confirmation. Maybe not. Maybe that's one of his teammates. But the ambulance is still over there at the moment. But yeah, it's not a pleasant looking incident, that one. Good to see, as we said, Drew Kemp was okay to carry on. Yeah, obviously you could see the concern amongst the riders in the pits, couldn't you, as you were down there a minute ago, Joe?
Yeah, spirits are high, but equally when one of your comrades, if you like, is injured in a race, and in such a nasty incident like that, it's always going to be tough on the lads. It's going to play on their minds. Good to catch up with Dan Thompson down there as well. But rightfully now, Ben's getting another hearty round of applause. He's already had one. He deserves another one as he's put into the back of the ambulance.
Yeah, it was Carl Newman. I could see. I thought for a minute it was Ben Barker who'd picked himself up, but Carl Newman it is who's getting applause as he walks back to the pits, and Ben Barker is loaded into the back of the ambulance. So, well, our best wishes go with him. Said he already had an injury coming into this meeting, and well, you can only feel that he's possibly aggravated that.
Yeah, I mean, it's never nice for any rider to be injured, let alone one who's coming into it with a pre-existing problem. And as you say, Nigel, everyone's best wishes go to Ben, because he's a really entertaining watch. He's a great lad. He's a really good bloke to be around, is Ben, and it's a real shame as he as he's going to make a sadly unceremonious departure from the Coliseum tonight. But we wish him well and hope that it's nothing too serious in the long term. Yeah,
he's going to get a fantastic round of applause as the ambulance makes its way round the track here at the Coliseum. And then I guess we move on to whatever decision the referee is going to make. And as I said, it was the thing I'd like to know, and which I don't know, is had the red lights gone on already, which caused the riders to slow down, or did they slow down for another reason?
Yeah, and rightfully, obviously, you know, we won't show the replay given how serious Ben's hurt, and you know, it's just one of those real strange incidents that I guess can occur in motorsport. It just, nobody quite seemed to know what was going on or what was happening. You know, as Ben's slowly taken out of the arena in the ambulance, we'll await for the rerun. It sort of seems a little bit secondary now that we still have another 8 heats to go in the meeting, and the Gladiators captain is going to leave. Is going to leave after just one ride in the back of an ambulance. And you know, you can't stress enough just how much gratitude as spectators and as fans of the sport that we give these riders for the, you know, this is a clear example of them putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment, essentially. And unfortunately, this is a consequence that comes with it. But we just hope that...
Yes, not been a good few days for Championship Speedway. 2 of the league's great entertainers, Rory Schlein, obviously the Berwick rider at Scunthorpe on Friday, and now Ben Barker today, both leaving the meetings in ambulances. And as we said, Rory Schlein, obviously a fractured vertebra in his neck and a broken scapula, and he's almost certainly out for the season. As I said before, we wish him all the very best, a speedy recovery. And now Ben Barker coming to grief on that third bend, and the ambulance just making its way out of the track. And obviously, or presumably, we'll be taking Ben off to the nearby Derriford Hospital. Let's see a video from our sponsors. Good evening, everyone. It's Paul just picking us up on the commentary point up here. So we've got a great view here over the first and second bends here at the Coliseum. And talking of bends, they're just doing a little bit of repairs to the air fence down on bend 3 before racing can get back underway.
The viewers at home will now be able to tell that the jumper has been reached for.
Let's cross over to Gareth, who's got Jacob Hook with him.
Well, Jacob, once again, this reserve pair, and you and your mate there, absolutely flying once again.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think we've lost a heat advantage around here in the season, so happy with that.
And just generally around the pits down here for the Plymouth Gladiators, you seem to be really enjoying the speedway.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I've said it a lot of times, great bunch of boys, we get along real well, and I think that's a big aspect in a team. If you all get along, it makes it a lot easier. When you're having fun, you're doing well on your bike.
Absolutely, and yeah, just a thought on Ben's accident there. I think you probably did see it, a bit of a shame, that one.
Yeah, it was a nasty one. Obviously, they were all real tight there, and I don't think the other boys seen the red light, to be truthfully honest. I didn't even know the red light was on, so it was just one of those ones where wrong place, wrong time, and couldn't see the red light, and Drew accidentally ran in the back of Ben, so yeah.
Yeah, big shame, and thoughts with Ben, but thoughts on tonight, obviously it's going well so far.
Yeah, unfortunately we've lost Ben again, so if we can keep chipping away and just doing what we're doing, we'll see where we end up at the end of the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jacob Hook.
So Jacob, thank you for that. Gareth, Jacob just confirming there what I sort of guessed, that there was a red light situation, and I think some of the riders saw it, some of the riders didn't see it, and you know, that's what caused the bunching up on that bend.
Yeah, just I think that's one of those unfortunate accidents, isn't it, that occurs in motorsport. It's, you know, nobody's to blame. It's just a simple case of you know, sort of in a way wrong place, wrong time. I said it here about Ben the other week when he had a crash against Poole in the BSN series. He was in the wrong place, wrong time when he was collected by a bike down in front of us on the comedy podium, and it definitely seemed like a wrong place, wrong time situation again for him.
Well, we're still waiting for the fence and track grading to take place. Let's watch some more action from a previous meeting.
14, the penultimate heat of the evening, and off the inside in blue is Joe Thompson. In white, off gate 2 is Tom Brennan. Gate number 3 in red is Jason Garrod, and in yellow, off the outside, we have Tobias Thompson. As mentioned, the Gladiators in action on Tuesday night against the Red Car Bears here at the Coliseum. On Wednesday night, the Poole Pirates are back in action against the Red Car Bears at Wimborne Road. So Red Car on a southern tour, but here we go, heat 14, green light is on. Tapes up and away we go, and off the inside.
Oh, look at that.
It's a brilliant gate from Joe Thompson, and Jason Garrett's going around the outside. Jason Garrett slots into second place, but now he's under pressure from Tom Brennan, and Jason Garrett gets out of shape, but he holds it in third, and this is a vital 4-2 in context of the fixture.
If he can hold it there, that, oh my lord, that's that was exciting stuff.
Tobias got out of shape a little bit, yeah. Jason Garrett. Well, that was really unlucky for Jason, but now Joe's got to be careful because Tom Brennan's coming on strong out in second place here. Joe needs eyes in the back of his head as Jason Garrett pulls over the back. 1 lap to go. It looks like a 3-3 for now. Joe Thompson then from Tom Brennan, and at the back Tobias Thompson. But as he comes through to take the checkered flag, it's a heat win in potentially his final ride of the night for Joe Thompson. Stylish out in front. Tom Brennan back in second place. Tobias Thompson grabs third. Jason Garrett retiring at the back, but he was so unlucky after making a hell of a start. Here is the result then of heat 14. Another eventful action-packed heat of the evening. Joe Thompson takes the win in blue. White is Tom Brennan grabbing second. Third place for Tobias Thompson in yellow. Fourth for Jason Garrett.
So some great action from the previous meeting at the Coliseum, but here the sun's still out, but I'm guessing we might have to wait for the ambulance to become available. Not had confirmation on that at the moment, but the track has been graded and watered, ready for racing to resume, hopefully in not too long a period of time. But it's such a shame, as this was, you know, a cracking opening. Well, 6 heats, wasn't it? It's been, you know, real nip and tuck, ding-dong battle we expected this evening. And the injury to Ben just put a bit of a tarnish on that, hasn't it?
It certainly puts a spanner in the works in the context of the fixture, doesn't it, now? Because it's a 6-point lead for the Gladiators as it stands. That's all they need, but their talisman is now potentially out of the meeting, we presume. I mean, he's been taken away in the back of an ambulance, isn't he? So we'll have to wait for official confirmation from the referee's box about that. But, you know, this is a real tricky patch now for the Gladiators. And for Garry May, your heart goes out to him. We keep mentioning if it was any luck it'd be bad. And when it rains in the southwest, it tends to pour. And, you know, for Garry, he's now going to have to operate, we presume, a facility for the rest of the fixtures to take Ben's rides. But all that matters at this moment in time is that Ben's well and recovers as quick as he needs to.
Yeah, it should be injury rider replacement. So, as I said, everyone bar Troy Batchelor, I think, can take a ride. And talking of injuries, I mean, Berwick, you know, Plymouth have had bad luck in the last couple of years, but I think there's only one club that probably surpasses Plymouth for bad luck is Berwick, isn't it? I mean, every year they start the season with a really good-looking lineup, and then as the weeks go on, the riders disappear, and you know, it's funny how it seems to follow some clubs around, isn't it?
As you say, on paper, a team that's got Louis Kerr at 1, Rory Schlein at 5, with the likes of Jai Etheridge, Drew Kemp, Danyon HUME, that's a strong top 5 for anybody in the league. And, you know, as you say, it's been ripped away from them with obviously Jai Etheridge being out this evening. And obviously Louis Kerr coming back. So that's the important thing for Berwick, is that Louis Kerr is back. You know, if they were to still have Louis out with what's going on, that would be really, really tricky for Stewart DICKSON. And talking to Stewart pre-meeting, he's one of the characters in in the sport, isn't he? He's great box office for me as an interviewer, and hopefully, as I said to him, that their riders recover quickly too.
Just had confirmation the ambulance is still at the track at the moment, and the paramedic is in the ambulance treating Ben. So obviously racing can't get back underway until the paramedic is available. And one of the problems as well is that when you're losing people like Rory Schlein and Ben Barker and obviously Nico Cavati, there's a lack of riders to come in, isn't there?
Certainly is, and Nico's a tough one to cover for, isn't he? As we see the Bar Bandits are rather loud this evening with their replica Garry May shirts on.
Going to say they're all selling ice creams tonight, are they?
They certainly are. They're a part of Garry May's Barmy Army. I think it's safe to say they enjoy Garry wearing his white Gladiator shirt, so we took it upon ourselves in the winter to follow suit.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
And it's great to show Garry support and the team support, and they will be off to the north at the weekend. They're going off to Workington, isn't it, Saturday afternoon? So they're all off to Workington on Saturday, and then we've plenty of trips planned throughout the rest of the year. But Plymouth is really a club that's well supported on the road, isn't it? And you see a couple of Berwick fans. I think we saw a Berwick flag on the back straight earlier on. It's great. This is one of the good things about Speedway, is that the fans do travel and they're welcomed wherever they go. We've had some great treatment as Gladiator fans elsewhere. So it's great that you don't get it all the time in football and rugby and sports like that. So Speedway really is a family sport.
I was at Workington for their last home meeting a fortnight ago when they took on Oxford, and a controversial decision in that meeting as far as Oxford were concerned, but Workington pretty strong around their own track at Northside, and our best wishes to Workington as well, because in the days after that meeting they had a break-in at their track and a lot of their track equipment was stolen. Such a shame as the efforts that have gone into with Andrew Bain and Steve Lawson in putting together that fantastic facility up in Cumbria, and to then have something like that happen is just terrible, and sums up society in a way, doesn't it, really?
It certainly does, and there we are talking about the good sides of Speedway. Unfortunately, it is often one of the sports that's targeted for stuff like that. We've had our fair share of issues down here in Plymouth, of course, as Carl Newman gets a good round of applause. He was keen that he wasn't going to leave Ben's side.
Yeah.
Well, Ben received treatment, so take your hat off to Carl. He really is a strong team player, and he's definitely one of the people you want in your pits rather than against you every week, that is for sure.
Just looking at the championship at the moment, it's obviously Scunthorpe gone to the top after their victory over Berwick on Friday. They're looking strong, obviously Poole in the slipstream as they always are. Redcar had a sticky start to the season, but they seem to be stringing it together. Obviously won here last week. Danny King, if not back, it will be back imminently, I think. And maybe the one that hasn't really hit their straps at the moment, Glasgow, aren't they? Obviously they're suffering from Lee Complin missing.
Yeah, it's a weird one, Glasgow, isn't it? Because what have they got? Steve Worrell and Chris Harris, two absolute box office people in the engine room of their team. So it's still early days. I mean, it's crazy to say that we're in June and it's still early days in the championship season. I mean, a lot of teams, as you mentioned, Plymouth is only the 5th championship fixture,
16,
isn't it, of the season. So, and then you look at other teams like Redcar, and they've raced plenty. Scunthorpe have had plenty of league fixtures as well so far. So it's going to be a bit of a top-heavy season for some clubs and a long haul for others. It certainly seems like it'll be a long haul down here in Devon, that is for sure.
And teams are losing, like Edinburgh lost Josh Pickering for a while, Berwick have lost Louis Kerr and then Rory Schlein. Teams seem to be losing some of their big hitters, and because of the lack of riders to come in, that's affecting the whole picture, isn't it, really?
Certainly is, and the reduction of the point limit certainly hasn't helped in replacing these box office riders. As you look at Ben Barker on a 7.79 average, not that you're going to want to replace Ben Barker, but if push comes to shove and they had to replace Ben Barker, it'd be really tricky to do so on the new points limit. And you're going to see that now, obviously, with Rory Schlein, 7.8. It's not easy to bring these riders in on those sorts of points. And obviously with other engagements on the continent, in Poland and stuff like that, it's tricky for riders with availability depending on what night you race. So it's a test, and we wouldn't want these team managers to have easy nights. This is what they're paid for, and fortunately we've got two here tonight who do their job very well.
Obviously, Garry May has now got a double problem for Workington, hasn't he? You've got to find a replacement for Nico Cavati. I mean, he's probably lined that one up already, I guess. Now, well, you would think Ben Barker isn't going to be fit for the weekend. Obviously, fingers crossed that he might be. But obviously, they can't use Troy Batchelor because he'll be riding against them for the Workington Comets. And, they on their recent Northern Tour, Connor Mountain did a fantastic job filling in at Berwick, top scoring with 13, but it's hard to find those types of riders, isn't it?
It certainly is, and while we're on the subject of Connor Mountain, what an unbelievable job he did that night. Filling in at number one as well, filling in at any position is difficult, but to fill in at number one when you're not a number one, and to put in the performance he did. I know there were a couple of the bar bandits who went up. Gavin Phillips, who stands on the back straight, he hasn't missed a meeting yet this year, and he's going to maintain that this weekend up at Workington. And I know everyone who went to Berwick was super proud of the effort the whole team put in, but in particular Connor, because for a guest rider it's always tricky. It's almost like you've got to summon that energy up, if you like, to go out and do it. And we're seeing it from Troy Batchelor. We're seeing it, to be fair to the three Berwick lads, we're seeing it from them as well. Paul Starke hasn't been too far off the pace so far. He'll want a couple more points to his name, of course, but certainly from Zach Cook and Jason Edwards, we're seeing everything. And I think it's been a little bit of a shift in recent years, that guest riders really are giving it everything they've got. Gone are the days you get a guest and you'd be a little bit wary of what you're going to get out of them points-wise. But, we're seeing it of late, and certainly Mark and Gary are going to have to be sweet talking a few people for the next few weekends, it seems.
And what's incredible with that Berwick meeting, I think I'm right in saying the 5 top scorers that evening, the 3 Berwick boys and the 2 Plymouth riders. Obviously Connor Mountain was a guest, but of the other 4, they're all now injured. There's Rory Schlein and Bastian Bork and Jai Etheridge, I think, were Berwick's top scorers that night, and obviously Ben Barker, ignoring Mountain, was Plymouth's top scorer, and it just shows the risk these boys take.
It certainly does, and it's as I've joked about it on the stream before on the previous 2 appearances, you couldn't pay me enough money to get me out on one of these bikes, and as mentioned when Ben was getting his treatment, you've really got to take your hat off to them and give them enormous gratitude for what they do, and they really do put everything on the line, particularly.
Referee Wayne Jarvis just looking out on proceedings. Obviously he's got to wait until the paramedic is available again. Still treating Ben Barker in the ambulance as far as we're aware.
It's not been an easy night for him so far, has to be said, with that incident there, and obviously we had Alfie BOWTELL try and jump the start by about 30 seconds in heat number 1 earlier. It was a real quick start for Alfie, but again, referees, I don't envy their job at all. Obviously we're still, as I say, Speedway secondary at the moment while Ben gets treated, but we still don't quite know yet what the outcome is or what the makeup will be of heat number 7 as you take a look over the top of the
Jason Edwards just walking towards
podium.
Garry May in the pits. There's Darren Thompson, the Thompson boys' dad there, just disappearing out of shot. One great meeting at the weekend, and if you had a chance to watch it, the British final, which obviously great to see the likes of Ty Woffington and Robert Lambert back in proceedings. Ben Barker obviously wasn't fit to take his place in the lineup, obviously with the rib injury that he already had. But it was a good, entertaining meeting, and well, the scrap between Bewley and Woffington in the final was well worth the admission money people might have paid.
Yeah, definitely, and the National Speedway Stadium's a real place for these events, isn't it? And I'll be going up to the Speedway and Nations final later in the year to witness that for the first time, my first trip to Bellevue, so it'll be great to see that as Maximus makes his way round. I'm sure he'll get a nice hearty round of applause from the Bar Bandits as he makes his way round, if they're not too focused on the conversations that have him. But yeah, it was a great final, and congratulations to Tom Brennan.
Yeah.
Of course, he's going to be that wild card now, I believe, at Cardiff, with virtue of Woffington and Bewley already being in the series. So I'm sure what an experience that will be for him.
He's one of these rising stars that's really come on, isn't he? He's obviously Leon Flint is also making good progress, just qualified for the SGP2 as well. But Tom Brennan's really come on leaps and bounds and really seems to have benefited from his move to Poole this season.
Yeah, we're blessed in British Speedway at the moment. I mean, if you go through this lineup here, you know, BOWTELL, the Thompson twins. Over on the Berwick side, you know, there's one or even all around the league. Sorry, there's several really good, exciting young British riders out there.
Yeah,
what on earth is he doing?
Lee Trigger, Ben's dad, who's just here for the watching brief tonight. I think is he going for Richard Lawson's track record here? I'm not so sure, but
I'm not sure what he's going to do when he gets to the tapes.
Obviously, a popular figure here, former team manager, and yeah, he'll get fined for riding on the infield, don't you? So
I dread to think the treatment that Lee is going to get as he makes his way round towards Bar Bandits corner here.
Yes,
he's blowing. He's blowing as he makes his way round onto bend 1 and 2. He seems very proud of himself, that is for sure.
Yeah, he'll ride that bike better than I could, I think. It's obviously Ben is here, as Joe said earlier, acting as spanner man for Danyon HUME in the Bandits camp. Yeah, he got a, I don't know if that was chancing or abuse there from the Bar Bandits, but one or the other.
Good evening. How are we? You can see jumper on, sun's out. It's not a good look now. But yeah, no, great to see Lee get a bit of stick as he makes his way around. But it's great to see the Trigger family still down here at the Coliseum.
Premiership as well, that's hotting up. Ipswich had a good win over Sheffield. Again, they've been hit by injuries, haven't they? Jason Doyle, another big name who's out for the season. But you know, there's some good. It's great to see some of the top riders coming back into the Premiership this year.
It is. You saw an influx halfway through last year, where as you say, the good riders came back to British Speedway. And it sort of gave us an inkling that it was going to happen on a more permanent basis. It's great to see it happening this year. Obviously, Gladiators Dan Thompson with a vital win for his Ipswich Witches last night. It's great to see that the Premiership's starting to flourish again. Obviously, we all know it went through a couple of tricky years where it sort of lost the exposure it had built up through the Sky Sports days of the TV deal. Now Eurosport do a great job of covering the fixtures they do. So it's great to see, and you know, as you mentioned, it's great to see all those big names back in British Speedway, because whilst we can all watch them ride on the continent, we'd much rather pay our own money to watch them on our own shores.
Obviously, Birmingham just brought in Freddie Lindgren, which is a bit different for him, having been a Wolverhampton rider all his British career, and Jan Kovac has just been signed by Kings Lynn, so 2 more Grand Prix riders coming into British Speedway.
Yeah, it's huge for British Speedway to see these Grand Prix riders in the sport, and as you mentioned, Fast Freddie now has a new home in the Midlands. He's not travelled too far from what he used to call his home track, so yeah, it'll be certainly worth going up to Birmingham this year to see somebody like Fast Freddie, and particularly when they go up against Ipswich, when they come up against somebody like Emil Saifutanov. Obviously, they've lost Jason Doyle, who'll be a huge miss to them, but you know, Saifutanov's, it's great to see him back in British Speedway, because he was box office back in his Coventry days. So, you know, as you say, just having these Grand Prix stars in British Speedway is a huge boost, not just for the clubs they're riding for and for the teams they're going up against, just as a whole morale as a British Speedway fan, that people are back attracted to our product. That's got to be the biggest thing of all, isn't it?
Once again, how do you replace Jason Doyle if you're Ipswich? It's almost impossible, isn't it? It's you know, there's been talk of maybe Emil Saifutanov persuading Artem Laguta to come over here, but that's a big task for Richie Hawkins and co, isn't it?
It certainly is, and you know, this is why the team managers earn the money they do, and the promoters do such a good job of promoting their clubs. They get the best people in they can, and it's certainly a task, as you say, to replace somebody like Jason Doyle. But you know, as I say, with the state that the Premiership is in at the moment, with the riders that have come back to British Speedway, as we've just mentioned, Freddie Lindgren, Emil Saifutanov, Jan Kovac coming in, all these Grand Prix stars coming in, you'd think that somebody would be quickly in line to replace Jason when Ipswich are ready to do so, or in a position to do so.
One of the interesting puzzling riders, I think is probably the word this season, is Ty Woffenden, who, when we see him riding in the British Speedway in the league, he looks on fire, but he just can't convert that into the Grand Prix, and he's a shadow of his former self in the Grand Prix at the moment.
Yeah, it's a strange one for Ty, isn't it? I mean, one thing I will say is, as you say, it's great to see him back in British Speedway. But the one thing about Ty Woffenden is he's not going to stop trying, and you know, he'll be gearing himself up for a big day out at Cardiff. Somewhere that he's always done pretty well at is Cardiff, and there are several tracks as they go around the calendar that he will excel at. So for Ty, it's just about ticking each meeting off. But you're right, it's been a really strange start to the Grand Prix season. Nobody's really established themselves as now. In recent years we had Bartosz Marszlik winning on a regular basis. We're yet to get Bartosz to really hit his consistent form. He's always there or thereabouts, but it's really refreshing to see that different riders are winning the different fixtures. That's at the end of the day, we want competitive racing, don't we? Particularly at that top level.
I can hear some bikes starting up, which is always a good sign. Obviously a former Plymouth rider hot on Bartosz Marszlik's heels at the moment in Jack Holder, who obviously won his first Grand Prix this season, the first time two brothers have won Grand Prix, joining Chris Holder, but he's another one who's come on leaps and bounds in recent seasons.
All started here. That's where it's at.
I saw him win the fours at Peterborough for Plymouth.
Yes, Carl Newman, Jack Holder,
Brady Kurtz and
Todd Kurtz.
Todd Kurtz, I think. Yes.
I mean, when you look back on it, that's some four. Lee Trigger, of course, was team manager that season as well. So you'd have to think that we can take a small part in Jack Holder's success. But no, you're right. He's come on leaps and bounds, and having his brother in his corner is going to be a massive help as well. Chris was part of that great pool team that Neil Middleditch built in the early 2010s, built on the Aussie backbone, and they really did a great job down there at Wimborne Road. And as we look down and see Mark Simmons in conversation with Alfie BOWTELL, Alfie's looked pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
In recent times, we look at Nico Cavati's pit board as well.
Yeah, we got the pit board. We haven't seen the rider here yet.
No,
but,
and hopefully that's a situation that sorts itself out pretty soon. That Nico can get out of the Coliseum, because he'd be, with the way Nico rode back in the day when he was last in British Speedway, this sort of track would probably suit his style. Hence, obviously, why he was more than happy to sign for the Gladiators. And as we mentioned about that luck, it was just the bad luck that it was on that final ride on the continent before he came to the UK.
You mentioned the Speedway of Nations. I'm also lucky enough to be going up for the final at Bellevue on the Saturday. There's going to be some interesting picks for some of the managers. Obviously, you've got the British Ollie Allen and Simon Stead have got Woffington, Bewley and Lambert, but Tom Brennan is making a real strong case to get into
forcing his way in, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
He really is, and that's without the we're not even bringing somebody like Chris Harris into the equation and what he would bring to the team, and somebody like Scott Nichols. That just shows how British Speedway's evolved. We have so many good young riders now, and as we mentioned, it's so good to see so many good young riders in the championship as well, getting their grounding at this level before going on to the Premiership. The Rising Star scheme got a lot of knocks when it first came in, but I think we're starting to see the benefits of that now. And as you say, the Speedway Nations will be a really interesting final much later on in the year. Really looking forward to my first trip to Bellevue for that. So hopefully be seeing a British win, but as long as it's entertaining and all the riders stay safe.
As long as it's dry.
Yeah.
Being Manchester, but
yes.
We are getting close to a return to action here. The bikes are warming up, so not too long to go now. Mark Lemon, the Australian team manager, has got an interesting choice. Obviously, we know Jason Doyle. He's got an embarrassment of riches, isn't he? Jack Holder, Brady Kurtz, Max Frick, just to name three.
Yeah, I mean, whoever that fourth one is, better be strong-willed going into a dressing room with those three next to you. But as you say, one thing the Australians are blessed with is real talented motorcycle riders, and there's one of their very best on screen, Troy Batchelor. I mean, there's not much that he hasn't won in his career back in Australia. I think when I was doing my research for last week, 6 times South Australian champion or something. Only 3 riders have ever achieved that. So and as I mentioned on one of our pit walks there, it's great to see Troy still has that burning desire in him to still want to come out here and put on a show, and he's doing a good job so far.
He's been a little bit out of sorts, hasn't he, last year or so, and I would think the way he's riding at the moment, it shouldn't be too long before a Premiership side decides to take a punt on him, just like it's happened with Craig Cook.
And particularly with that experience that he's built up through his career. Again, even in British Speedway, there's not a lot that Troy Batchelor hasn't won in British Speedway. So, it would be great as we see young Ben helping out Danyon HUME's bike. Danyon will be out in the ReRun of Heat 7, of course. Still not totally sure what the makeup is going to be of that.
Well, because it was a red light did come on, it's obviously, I say obviously we need confirmation, but it should be 4 riders in it, and you know, any one of the Gladiators can replace Ben Barker with the exception of Troy Batchelor, so that's providing they've been given the injury rider replacement facility, which I would think is almost certain that they will have.
There's Drew Kemp as well. Good to see that he's got over his. It did look like he was winded. Was the initial view looking straight at him was what I had. He made a very slow ginger walk onto the infield and just sat down, caught his breath. But you know, it's not going to be a nice experience for him. What's gone on, being involved in a heavy impact like that with one of your fellow Speedway riders as Garry tries to rally one of the Thompson twins.
He's had an interesting experience, Drew Kemp, this season, because obviously Stewart DICKSON was his manager at Leicester and at Berwick. Stewart DICKSON axed him from the Leicester side, and of course Drew Kemp still has to ride for him at Berwick. You know, they seem to get on fine, but that's a very interesting little situation there, isn't it, between manager and rider? But
yeah, and you often find, don't you, that riders follow managers rather than follow clubs. If you look at all the riders that have ridden for Garry May in the past, you can always work out the ones that are happy to guest for him because they've ridden for him at his other clubs. And as you say, you know, Stewart DICKSON's achieved plenty in the game as a team manager, and he's had a wonderful career, and he's doing a good job with what he's got at Berwick at the moment, trying to patch the team back together. So, you know, there'll be plenty of riders queuing up to ride for him, as we hope there will be for Garry if and when we need him. And it certainly seems like at the moment, as per recent seasons, we're going to need them again.
Drew is just one of those riders who hasn't quite kicked on and fulfilled that promise. He still can, he's still very young, but I'm sure he'd love to be like where Tom Brennan is at the moment, and Leon Flint, and really push his career on a little bit.
Yeah, he had a good season at Poole, didn't he, recently? And I was somewhat surprised to see him leave Poole, if I'm honest. I'm not sure whether it was an average thing that led to him leaving.
Well, I think they were going to keep him until Tom Brennan became available, and I think Danyon HUME and Drew Kemp were, my understanding, or was it Carl Newman and Drew Kemp, I think might be, we're going to go back to Poole, and then Tom Brennan became available, and they changed their plan. But
I'd block his number. I think I'd block his number, but you know, again, it just shows the embarrassment of riches these team managers have, that these riders are available, and you can just pick and choose from who you want. As you can see, good to see Drew's going to come back out for the rerun. We've sort of had like a half-time warm up, and
well, we'll certainly be rattling
again
through the remaining heats. It's still, what are we, heat 6, so we've still got 9 heats to go. We need to find out who's going to come out in red for the Gladiators in this one. Joe Thompson will be in blue, Drew Kemp in white, and Danyon HUME in yellow. Just some discussion going on between the clerk of the course and the referee at the moment, Rob Doran.
Not sure he's asking him if he wants cheese on his burger or not. I think it's perhaps a little bit more professional, but...
So we have got bikes coming back out onto the track, which is fantastic news. Danyon HUME, and it is Dan Thompson who's going to be out in place of the injured Ben Barker. So Dan Thompson is the injury rider replacement, and he's going to be partnered by his brother Joe. So the two Thompson boys up against Drew Kemp and Danyon HUME.
Yeah, an interesting one now. Thompson twins going to come out here and try and carry on where the Gladiators left off in that last heat. It feels like an absolute age ago, that 5-1 for Troy and Alfie in heat number 6. But
and it's tough because the riders are almost like having to start the evening again, aren't they? It's been such a long gap.
You go through such a rigorous routine of getting yourself psyched up and prepped and loose and things, and obviously we have that long delay. But here we go.
So great to be back underway. At the same time, obviously wishing Ben Barker all the best. Dan Thompson in gate 1 in red for the Gladiators. In gate 2, Drew Kemp in white for the Bandits. Great to see he's not too worse for wear after that crash with Ben Barker. Joe Thompson in gate 3 in blue for the Gladiators, and in the outside gate in yellow is Danyon HUME for the Berwick Bandits. So just to remind you, when we left off, it's 21 points to 15 to the Gladiators there. 1 point ahead on aggregate, 63-62. So this should be a really fascinating final 9 races here this evening. And it's just great that we can get the racing back underway.
Yeah, it is, and as you say, it's another interesting heat. You're probably going to get bored at home of us saying that these are going to be interesting heats, but that just goes to show how even these two teams are. And you know, the Thompson twins here, they'll have ridden together so many times in their career, and it's just another opportunity for a bit of family pride.
Probably got bored of listening to us for the last 20 minutes as well, so they'll be delighted to see some live action on still a very pleasant evening here at the Plymouth Coliseum as we get ready for the start of heat number 7. That's a great gate there from Joe Thompson, with Drew Kemp in second place. Danyon HUME just going around the outside of Dan Thompson, and as HUME kept his position as he comes across the start-finish line. Leaks underneath him.
He's going to get up the inside, I think. Dan Thompson, really good move from Dan. He tried it first of all on bends 3 and 4, but he gets it done there at the start of lap number 2. Joe Thompson looking good out in front, but he can't take it easy because Drew Kemp's fired up. Danyon HUME slinging it into bends 1 and 2 here, but Dan Thompson is right up the back of Dan Kemp. This is going to be a fun final lap.
Certainly is. You could throw a blanket over these 4 at the moment. They're very close together. Joe Thompson just ahead of Drew Kemp. Dan Thompson trying to go underneath. Drew Kemp is going around that first and second bend, but Kemp sticking to that inside line, and it looks like he's going to hold his position there. So it's a 4-2 to the Gladiators. Blue, white, red, yellow, and it's Joe Thompson, the race winner.
That wasn't for the faint-hearted. If we get an angle of that on the replay, just see how close Dan Thompson was to the back wheel of Drew Kemp on the final lap there. That was a cracking heat from those 4 lads. And it's great that Joe manages to get the win there in heat 6, and a 4-2 is important.
54.26 the winning time for Joe Thompson in blue. Second in white is Drew Kemp for the Bandits. Third in red, Dan Thompson for the Gladiators. Fourth in yellow, Danyon HUME for the Bandits. So 4-2 to the Gladiators. They stretch their leads to 8 points on the night, 25 points to 17. Aggregate score 67-64. And of course, tactical rider territory now if the Bandits want to do something, but not in Heat 8, so I don't think you're allowed to in Heat 8.
No, but as you say, it throws it into the mix if they need to. But again, another really interesting heat here. Jacob Hook's having Jacob Hook's having a really solid night, I think, so far. He'll be really pleased with his second in heat number 2. He wasn't too far off the pace in heat number 4. And he's joined by Alfie, who was jet propelled in his last ride. So this is a good matchup for the Gladiators.
So here we are with the Heat 8 lineup, and no changes. So it's Jacob Hook in blue for the Gladiators in Gate 1. Gate 2, Paul Starke in yellow for the Bandits. He'll be looking to improve on his 1 point showing so far. Alfie BOWTELL, who was superb in his last outing, he's in red in Gate 3. And Jason Edwards, who's been a very good guest already this evening for the Bandits, he's in yellow in Gate 4.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where the lads are going to line up here. Plenty of digging going on as they try and pack the dirt in to give them that springboard to start from in heat number 8. And it's a 3-point lead. It feels a lot bigger on the aggregate points tally though than it probably is to peg back, isn't it? And
of course,
particularly when you're 8 points behind on the night as well.
47-42, Berwick won the meeting at Sheffield Park on, I think it was May the 18th, so 2 or 3 weeks ago. A little bit more than that now. So BOWTELL and Hook versus Edwards and Starke. And BOWTELL will be looking, he was superb in that last outing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Jet propelled from the start.
Yeah. So we're under starters orders for heat number 8.
Late change from Jacob Hook there.
So flying out in front is Alfie BOWTELL. He's got the 2 Bandits hot on his heels. Jacob Hook at the back. So BOWTELL start finish chasing him down in second place.
Yeah, Jacob Hook's going to try and come on strong up the inside here with Jason Edwards. Got a little bit tight between the 2 Bandits as they came towards the end of lap number 1. Now it's the switcheroo for Jacob Hook. Can he get it up the inside of Jason Edwards? Not quite. But Alfie BOWTELL is carrying on from where he left off last heat. Looking super stylish out in front. And it's better from Paul Starke in second.
Yes, Alfie BOWTELL looking of course to make it back-to-back wins for the Gladiators, certainly on a personal level, but Paul Starke keeping him honest down that back straight. It's more like Paul Starke back on his old track, but it's BOWTELL takes the checkered flag, so it's red, yellow, white, blue, with Alfie BOWTELL the race winner.
Another terrific win for
3 alls is all it needs for the Gladiators now. And Alfie looked really stylish out front there. He'll be absolutely delighted with how his meetings go. And spoke to him beforehand. He was, pretty coy with how he should be. He should be really proud of how he went last week, and great that he gets another win there.
53.82, I think the time for that one was. Alfie BOWTELL the race winner in red. Paul Starke second for the Bandits in yellow. Third, Jason Edwards, his Bandits teammate, in white, and it was Jacob Hook bringing up the rear in blue for the Gladiators. So a drawn heat, 3 points apiece. 28-20 to the Gladiators, and they've still got that 3-point gap on aggregate, 70 to 67.
Yeah, and as you suspected, Nigel, we're going to be rattling on with them now. 2 minutes already on for the next heat. Dan Thompson and Carl Newman. Zach Cook's looked good so far. Be a tough nut to crack here. So let's see how they go here, because Carl Newman will be disappointed with his last ride after that first. So he'll have a point to prove, and as we say, with an 8-point lead on the night, 3-point lead on aggregate, for the Gladiators the task's that's somewhat easier. It's just 3 alls from here and they'll be very happy.
Slightly surprised they haven't shut Louis Kerr out in this one as a tactical substitute for Freddie HODDER, but anyway, Carl Newman in gate 1 in blue for the Gladiators, Zach Cook in white in gate 2 for the Bandits, Dan Thompson in red in gate 3 for the Gladiators, and it's Freddie HODDER in yellow in gate 4. So they've had an up and down evening, Thompson and Newman, so far. They had 1-5-1 for them and 1-5-1 against them, so must have crossed Stewart DICKSON's mind to bring Louis Kerr out.
Yeah, you can see Freddie HODDER just doing plenty of kicking away at the dirt, just trying to pack it in there on the outside of gate number 4. He'll be looking for better from what we've had so far, but you can just see a bit of a dry line just starting the racing line, and it's pretty dry out there now at the moment. I think at an opportunity we'd probably want to see a track watering go on if we can, if time still allows. But right now the only prerogative is that we get as many heats in as we can. But this is an interesting one again.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Berwick went for a tactical in heat 10, because Batchelor and BOWTELL are the strong pairing in that one. Here we go for heat 9 now. And that's a good gate. Zach Cook's gated well all evening, and he's leading the way there with Dan Thompson racing after him down that back straight, but it's Zach Cook leading across the start-finish line at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, Dan Thompson looks quick though, back in second place. He's going to keep Zach Cook honest out in front here. Carl Newman slotting into third, as we mentioned before the heat. 3 alls are just what the doctor ordered. Zach Cook though, he's looking super stylish with Berwick out in front here. He'll be really pleased with his night's work so far. Freddie HODDER just got a little bit bogged down at the start, but he isn't too far off the pace of Carl Newman, to be fair.
Yeah, Zach Cook's gating really well tonight and looking really classy out front. Opened up quite a lead over Dan Thompson now, but as Joe said, a 3-3 is good enough for the Gladiators at the moment, as Zach Cook takes the checkered flag in white, and then it's red, blue, yellow in behind him.
Stylish again, isn't it? You can attribute that to Zach Cook for most of the evening now, and he's been a really inspired guest choice, as we thought these Bandits guests would be good, true choices. And Zach Cook's really proven it here, a former Plymouth rider, and he's showing that track knowledge is important.
53.30 the winning time for Zach Cook in yellow. Second in red, Dan Thompson for the Gladiators. Carl Newman, his teammate, third in blue, and it's Freddie HODDER coming home last in yellow. So another 3-3, second successive 3-3 heat draw, and it's 31-23 to the Gladiators, and it's still that 3-point advantage on aggregate.
Yeah, and that's important for them. Obviously, it'd be interesting to sort of get into Stewart DICKSON's mind now, because when you're in a normal meeting and you're 8 points down, you start thinking about different permutations of riding orders and things. But I just wonder how much the aggregate point and being a further 3 points behind overall just plays into his mindset. Troy Batchelor gets a rousing roar from the crowd as he comes out. He's really warming to the crowd as we look at the gates, and you can see three ruts pretty much on every gate, and that the same spot it seems to be all the time on gate number 4 as they try and cut across the inside. But
as I said with the tactical, he's obviously gone with Kemp and Hume here. The next one he's got Kerr and Edwards, so I'd be surprised if he took Jason Edwards out. But and then he's got Kemp and Freddie HODDER, so possibly a tactical there, but who knows if they're still going to be 6 points down at that stage. Anyway, we are on to heat number 10, and this is a tasty looking lineup here. Alfie BOWTELL, who's won his last 2 outings, he's off gate 1 in blue. It's Danyon HUME in yellow off gate 2 for the Bandits. Troy Batchelor, who's been very exciting to watch this evening, he's in red off gate 3 for the Gladiators, and it's Drew Kemp off gate 4 for the Bandits, and Kemp has got 3 points from his 2 rides. Danyon HUME yet to score.
Troy will be looking for. He's done a good job so far. You know, not discrediting what he's done. He's been he's done a really solid professional job, but he'll be desperate for his own peace of mind to get that win now, I think. And
but they'd be the
really
way these two are
home.
riding, they'd be looking for a 5-1 here, I think, the Gladiators, wouldn't they? But
definitely.
As you said, Stewart DICKSON's mind is probably already turning towards trying to win that bonus point as opposed to trying to win the meeting. But especially if they get a 5-1 here, because you know that's 12 points clear with 5 heats to go. It's all going to be about the bonus point if that happens. Heat 10 about to get underway. And that's a great gate for Danyon HUME. Upsetting the form, but there HUME leading down the back straight, but Batchelor goes around him to take the lead. It's Alfie BOWTELL in 3rd place at the moment with Drew Kemp at the back.
Yeah, really good from Troy Batchelor. He is absolutely box office at the moment, guesting for the Gladiators. Alfie BOWTELL trying to come on strong into 2nd place in behind Danyon HUME. Bit of a disappointment for Drew Kemp at the back, but he's on the pace. But Troy Batchelor is looking silky, he's looking smooth, and he's looking stylish.
Yeah, Batchelor looking Workington Comet guesting for the Gladiators tonight, but this is much better outing for Danyon HUME, who made a really good gate in that one. He's got Alfie BOWTELL pursuing him. Drew Kemp is just dropping out at the back. He was last anyhow, but it's Troy Batchelor who crosses the line in 1st place. It's red, yellow, blue and white, and it's a 4-2 to the Gladiators.
Just what the commentator ordered, a win for Troy Batchelor. You know, very, very good for Troy, and he's been an excellent guest both last week and this week. And you know, he's, as I say, with that enthusiasm, that fire in his belly, he's a joy to watch, and we're really seeing it.
53.07 seconds the time for Troy Batchelor, the race winner in red for the Gladiators. Danyon HUME, who gazing really well in that one, is 2nd in yellow for the Bandits. Alfie BOWTELL in 3rd in blue for the Gladiators. Drew Kemp eventually crossing the line in last place, so a 4-2 to the Gladiators. They've opened that gap up now to 10 points and the aggregate gap to 5 points. So at what point will Stewart DICKSON go for his tactical?
Yeah, we're just hearing that Alfie BOWTELL is going to replace the injured Ben Barker in this one, so we're going to have a little bit of a break as Alfie just gets a chance to recharge before he comes back out. And the important point now is the Gladiators have flipped that deficit. In the context of the whole clash, home and away, the Gladiators now hold that 5-point lead. And with just a few heats to go, you know, you can never take your foot off the gas, to use a motorsport cliche, but this is now the time that Garry May will be in there. He'll be instructing the riders, really hammer it home now, bring it home in style, and you know, what a result this will be to turn it around from a 5-point deficit to a 5-point lead.
Yeah. Well, Stewart DICKSON is a clever man, isn't he? He's obviously got some idea or some plan of where he's going to bring in. Well, he could either use Louis Kerr or Zach Cook, couldn't he, as a tactical? Probably Louis Kerr. But as I said, he's got Kerr and Edwards out in this one. Maybe he's looking at Heat 12 with Dan Thompson, Jacob Hook. He's got Drew Kemp in there and Freddie HODDER.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it's been tough for young Freddie. It's always tricky. It's an awkward track to learn what to do around this. This is why it's great that the Coliseum, it tests riders and it tests young riders, and it was great to see that British Youth semi-final here last month. It's great that these riders get to test themselves around these tracks, and tight technical tracks are, where the money's won, isn't it? There's sayings in other sports, but titles are won and lost at places like Plymouth. Most tracks are similar, but Plymouth is so different. If you can get an aggregate point win, if you can get a win away at Plymouth, it sets you up. Look what it's done. Workington flying, came down here, got the win. Redcar got that confidence booster against Glasgow, came down here and got the win. This isn't it's not the end of Berwick's season. They've had a very strong start, given what they've, the problems they've had injury-wise. They'll certainly look to build on anything they can get out of tonight with a patched-up team. And I think Stewart DICKSON will be pretty proud of the effort that his Gladiators are putting in.
Yeah, certainly will. They're keeping Louis Kerr. Well, obviously Louis Kerr was always going to come out. Jason Edwards keeping his place in this one. Alfie BOWTELL is the injury rider replacement for Ben Barker. And Joe Thompson. And Joe Thompson, 2 wins out of 2. Yep. He's having a fantastic evening.
Yeah, he definitely is. And, this is what the doctor ordered for Joe. I mentioned earlier on that, he needed to get out there after that first win and back it up. Well, he's done that now. And, at the moment, Joe's, he's obviously going to come out again in Heat 14, but it's been a really positive night for both of brothers, I'd say.
Definitely. So this is the lineup for Heat number 11 as we get towards the end of this. What's been a very interesting meeting. In white is the number 1, and for the Bandits, Louis Kerr in gate 1. In gate 2 is Alfie BOWTELL, the injury rider replacement for Ben Barker. He's in red off gate 2. Gate 3 is Jason Edwards in yellow, and in gate 4 is Joe Thompson in blue for the Gladiators. And BOWTELL, I think they said there was 1 minute left, but he's going to get round okay. Not the biggest of circuits here to race all the way around.
I mean, we're talking about the gap the Gladiators have on aggregate here, but 1 maximum, and all of a sudden it gets back to tight territory. And this is a matchup that, they'll also be looking at Heat 13 with Louis Kerr and Zach Cook coming out. That's a really strong pairing.
I would think Louis Kerr will be out in Heat 12.
You're playing Stewart DICKSON Sudoku?
Yes, in place of Freddie HODDER as a tactical substitute, and they'll be hoping that they can get a 4-2 or 5-1 there. And as you said, they've then got Kerr and Zach Cook in Heat 13. But let's concentrate on Heat 11. BOWTELL, Joe Thompson, Kerr and Edwards. And it's Louis Kerr from the inside, and Jason Edwards is following him around. Actually overtakes Louis Kerr down that back straight. So Bandits on a 5-1 at the moment, but BOWTELL doing his best to try and get around Louis Kerr.
Alfie is absolutely flying, and he is going right, high and wide. He's going to try it again, going into bend 3 and 4. Alfie is quick, and he's potentially quicker than Louis Kerr. It's just whether or not he can get a more intelligent line than Louis, who's done a pretty good job of making his bike about 20 foot wide at the moment. But this is real good stuff from both the Berwick Bandits, and Alfie's trying his best, but he gets out of shape and comes down.
Yeah, Louis Kerr was riding a very clever line there, and Alfie BOWTELL's just overcooked it. The red lights have come on, and I would think almost certainly this race would be awarded, but BOWTELL was trying all he could there, but Kerr was keeping a really sensible line there and pushed BOWTELL pretty much out into the dirt, and BOWTELL has come down and he will be excluded as the cause of the stoppage.
Really good race, that. Really, that was a really good work from Jason Edwards and Louis Kerr, who slotted in well there.
Yeah, it has been awarded. So it's the winner, Jason Edwards in yellow, Louis Kerr, his teammate second in white, Joe Thompson in blue third. Alfie BOWTELL obviously falling on that fourth bend. So, well, the Bandits, they've certainly not out of this now. They've got a 5-1. The gap is down to just 6 points. Aggregate is just a point now, and of course, still being a 6-point gap means they can still bring a tactical out in Heat 12, which is what I think Stewart DICKSON would do, and my money would be on Louis Kerr for Freddie HODDER, but we shall see.
Yeah, I might invoice Stewart DICKSON for that 5-1. I did talk about it as the riders got to the tapes that it could swing it, and just look at that aggregate score now. We're back down to a point.
Yeah.
As I said, Garry May will want them to hammer home the advantage, and more than ever now as we come to a really, really crucial few heats.
And the rider in yellow, tactical substitute, will be Louis Kerr.
3 in a row for Louis.
Yeah.
Certainly test his fitness this. Make sure that he is race sharp, but
so let's look at the stats. Well, yeah, Gate 3 has had 6 winners now. 55% of the heats has been won from Gate 3. Gate 2 has got 3, and then the inside and outside not doing very well tonight, 1 point apiece. Earlier Gate 4 was providing the most points. It's now obviously Gate 3 with so many wins on that gate, 22 points, but that is obviously the place you want to be.
Middle of the track again. It'll be the middle of the track, and
got a reserve change for the Gladiators in blue in this one. Joe Thompson coming out in place of Jacob Hook.
Just see the replay then of that last heat, and you can see Alfie's trying. He's going so wide to generate the speed. Louis Kerr was, as I say in commentary, doing a really good job of just making his bike as wide as possible, putting it in as trickier place as he could, so Alfie couldn't then use that speed that he was building up. Alfie again just trying to get his wheels in line as quickly as he can, but Louis is doing a very good job there, and it just, Alfie eventually just, you know, he builds up too much speed and just loses a bit of shape and has to come down. But you know, for Stewart DICKSON, it's exactly what he wanted. 5-1 there brings the meeting back together. You know, at the end of the day, for Berwick, they'll be looking at the aggregate point. If they could win on the night, it was always going to be a bonus. But Stewart DICKSON would always have prioritised coming here tonight with a 5-point lead, get that aggregate point. Because if you do lose on the night, well, you only technically lose 1 point overall, don't you? Or, sorry, you gain, of course, because they won at Berwick earlier in the year. So for the Gladiators, it's important that they try and keep their noses in front, and that task has just been made a lot harder now in Heat 12.
Yeah, well, they've got Louis Kerr out in almost certainly 3 of the last 4 heats, haven't they? He'll have done 4 out of 5. Well, we're assuming he will be in Heat 15. And they've got Zach Cook and Louis Kerr probably in heats. Well, they've got them in 13 and probably in 15. So
good luck telling Louis Kerr he's not coming out at 15.
Yes, I think providing he's feeling fit and fine, and he's certainly looking fine tonight, isn't he?
And he's had a good night. Look, 7
looking
paid
7
9.
plus 2. He's unbeaten by a Gladiator. Jason Edwards, we said that was a really good guest to pick, and he's got 2 wins in his 8. Zach Cook 7, and contributions all the way down apart from Freddie HODDER. Gladiators, well, solid again. 3 riders on 7 points there, but obviously missing Ben Barker in the latter stages of this meeting after his nasty looking crash in heat number 7. Obviously wish Ben all the best. So we line up for what is going to be a crucial heat 12. We got the Thompson brothers, Dan and Joe, versus Drew Kemp and Louis Kerr. We got Freddie HODDER out in yellow. I must have missed that one. So
no, it's Kerr off 1, isn't it? And Drew Kemp off 3.
So Dan Thompson off in red in gate 2, Louis Kerr in white off gate 3. So there we go. Yeah, Louis Kerr in gate 1 in yellow, Dan Thompson in red in gate 2, Drew Kemp in white in gate 3, and Joe Thompson in blue in gate 4. Louis Kerr coming in as a tactical for Freddie HODDER.
We don't want to pigeonhole a meeting into just one race, but you know, it's now or never for the Bandits, if you like, on the terms of the night. Stewart DICKSON's playing his joker. He wants to try and peg the gap back on the night, and of course if he does that, he knows he'll take back that aggregate point. So
he'll be looking probably for 4-2 here.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum.
But Joe Thompson and Dan Thompson be going pretty well this evening. That's a great skate from the Thompson boys. Dan and Joe in first and second, rather ruining Stewart DICKSON's plans at the moment. Louis Kerr back in third. This is brilliant from the Thompsons. Louis Kerr coming hard underneath Joe Thompson to take second place.
Good hard racing, and here's Joe trying to replay the compliment on Louis Kerr, who's now going to set off after Dan Thompson, who is going to need eyes in the back of his head here, but he's looking quick out front. He's getting stronger with every ride on the bike. Dan Thompson looking stylish. Now Louis Kerr's trying that Alfie BOWTELL technique. He's going to go wide and he's going to try and build up the speed for one last assault.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's enough grip at the moment. It's going to be very slick out there, very dusty, but he'll keep trying, Louis Kerr. But this is brilliant from Dan Thompson, just what Garry May would have wanted from his heat leader, and Joe Thompson backing it up in third place. That's a crucial 4-2 for the Plymouth Gladiators, finishing red, yellow, blue, white. Race winner, Dan Thompson.
Yeah, take your hat off to Dan Thompson, jet propelled from the start line. He was never losing that heat from the moment he got out of the gates, and what a start. Joe Thompson, to be fair, he gave it a really good go, and Louis Kerr, it was just hard racing, wasn't it? He got up the inside there, he managed to squeeze his way past Joe Thompson, but you know, you take your hat off to these two boys.
Dan's winning time, 53.07.
53.07, the winning time for Dan Thompson in red for the Gladiators. Louis Kerr second in yellow, Joe Thompson third in blue for the Gladiators, and Drew Kemp coming in last for the Bandits. So a crucial 4-2 for the Gladiators there, rather ruining Stewart DICKSON's tactical substitute, opening up that gap again to 8 points, 40 to 32. That's still just 3 points on aggregate. Plymouth 82, Berwick 79, and we've got a track grade coming up.
Yeah, let's watch it from the start here. Dan Thompson in the red helmet colour off gate number 2. He's the one who's going to get out, jet propel from the start. We're going to get a good view here from side on. Louis Kerr on his inside, the pair of them just inching forward a little bit. Perhaps Louis a little bit more than Dan, but it was jet propelled. He gets across to that inside line on bend 1. Joe follows him round here, and this is where Louis Kerr just uses a bit of experience. He keeps to the inside. Joe just drifts off into a bit of no man's land. Louis just pushes him a little bit wide there, coming up the home straight, and that's all she wrote. Louis tried his best.
So we're just having a track grade between heats 12 and 13. Obviously, Plymouth need to choose an injury rider replacement for Ben Barker in this one. There are two options. Well, they've got Joe Thompson or Jacob Hook, or they've got Carl Newman that they could bring out as an injury rider replacement. But this meeting, in terms of the aggregate, is certainly on a knife edge, 82-79. Let's cross to Joe in the pits.
Back into the pits then as we approach a really crucial couple of heats in the context of the fixture. You can see it's quite professional, quite quiet over here as we look at Garry May. See if we can try and grab Garry for a quick word. Garry, quick word if we can. I mean, losing Ben, if we didn't have any luck at all, it'd only be bad, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know. Again, another injury, but we've got to keep going the best we can, and we use IRR, and we're trying to do it the best way we can, you know what I mean, to get that. We've got to win by 6, you know what I mean, that's the plan.
And your boys are doing a pretty good job of it at the moment. What a 4-2 there. Just when you needed it, when they played their joker, the boys did the job.
Yeah, we spoke to Dan and he said he can get over Curry, and you know what I mean, and he did it perfect, and then Joe nearly come through as well, but just made a little mistake down the bottom end and let Curry through, but he's an experienced rider, so you know, you really expect that, but the 4-2 was good when you probably think it would have been a 3-all, you know, because Drew's not having a very good night, is he, for them, so that's it.
And all the riders are doing a very good job. They're all being very professional. But a word here for Troy Batchelor at number 1. Guesting again, superb last week. He's been fantastic again tonight, isn't he?
He has, yeah. He's a true professional, and he gets out and he knows what he's got to do. He rides what he's got to do. Like you say, a true professional, and he goes out and wins.
All the best for the last 3 heats, Garry. Catch up with the end.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully we'll be won by 8 or 6. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Garry. Thank you there, Garry May, in good spirits as we take a look at the Gladiators. In the pits, Alfie BOWTELL, you presume his night's done. Another good night for him. 2 heat wins, 7 points to his name from his 5 rides. And at the moment, it's working the oracle for the Gladiators. We head into the red car pits. Louis Kerr, of course, he's going to be a busy boy between now and the end of the meeting. A good second there to get past Joe Thompson, just to try and keep it alive as best they can. As we take a look at the trigger team, helping out Danyon HUME this evening. Ben trying to give plenty of advice. I'm not sure that Lee will be able to give him too much advice about how to go around here. He has been round tonight, of course, on the push bike of Maximus, but he'll be trying to pass on any information as he can. Drew Kemp, tough night for Drew, obviously involved in that push, as we try and squeeze in and have a quick word with Jason, if we can. Come this side of the post. Jason, good night last week, good night again tonight.
Yeah, that's the only problem with number 2 is you're done really early, aren't you? So I thought I'd just have a little tidy up, get ready for Sheffield tomorrow, and then we'll see if we can get heat 15 somehow.
Obviously plenty of experience being an ex-Gladiator, riding around this night last week for Berwick. You'd be pretty pleased with them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and that's it. I'm never one to turn down a meeting. I'm just trying to get out doing proper work as long as I can. So that's the plan. I don't know what the score is. I know we had a tax sub in that last one.
40-32. So.
Yeah, so anything can happen, can't it? But no, it's nice to see a good crowd. Sun's out, and it's a good meeting all round.
And where did you say you were tomorrow, sorry?
Sheffield. We got Carlisle's testimonial, so hopefully we'll get a good turnout for that. And then Red Car Friday, and see what else we can get.
Lovely. All the best, Jason. Thanks for joining us. Jason Edwards, those of you who are in the area do get over to former Gladiator Carl Howard's testimonial tomorrow, as we see young Ben Trigger giving us a little lip sync as he walks back into the pits. Jacob Hook in deep conversation. He's had a bit of an up and down night as Jacob, a good 5-1 in that first ride as we make our way up to the gate to see the riders. We'll see if we can grab a third interview, see if we can grab Kyle Newman. Kyle, grab a quick word, if we can. No? Just wants to watch the track work take place, so we'll respect that. Of course, Kyle coming out in a pretty important Heat 14 this evening in context of the fixture. Big night for the Gladiators. Vital that they try and get some of these aggregate points as we see the water truck make its way round the track. And it's all pretty quiet and chilled out here as we reach a mini interval, if you like. Obviously we had that stoppage with Ben earlier, and we do continue to send our best wishes to Ben. Hopefully the club will be able to provide us an update in due course about Ben's condition. But it's fairly relaxed and chilled. It's quite calm and professional in the Plymouth pits at the moment. Berwick just trying to work out what else they can do with what's left, with just 3 races on the line. But fairly quiet here, so let's hand back up to Nigel and let's get back on the track.
Thank you very much, Joe. Yes, just having a bit of watering just to keep the dust down here ahead of what's going to be a very big Heat 13. Troy Batchelor, Louis Kerr and Zach Cook. 3 of the star-studded riders in that lineup, just waiting to see who the injury rider replacement will be. And it'd be interesting. You were just trying to chat to Carl Newman there, and I think we've just had confirmation it could be Carl Newman, but obviously he's looking at the track, because I think he's going to take the injury rider replacement.
Yeah, totally understand Kyle not wanting to talk to us there. As you say, it's track work's going on. He's got quite an important ride coming up here. He's going to be out. And
he's got 2, isn't he? 2 on the trot. So.
Yeah, again, not trying to put pressure on the fella, but he's going to have a big part to say in where this aggregate bonus point goes, obviously with him coming out in 13 and 14. So, I fully understand him not talking, but the atmosphere is quite quiet and subdued down there at the moment. I think, obviously it's a long night so far, and, both sets of riders now, they realise just quite how important these next 3 heats are for the context of both team season. For Plymouth, it's a real springboard to get the season really up and running. For Berwick, it's to continue on that good momentum that they've built up so far.
I guess for the Plymouth riders, it's almost a little bit. We've read this script before. It's tight near the end. I mean, they're looking a bit more comfortable in terms of the tally tonight, 8-point lead, but they know that Kerr and Cook are going to be out in 2 of the last 3 races, and obviously that aggregate bonus point is also very important.
Yeah, we've been here before, haven't we? In particular, the last couple of meetings, it's gone right to the wire. So, Garry was in good form. I think he realises, what he needs to do. He's delivering his message to his riders when he gets the chance over there in the pits. And, as he says, it's important that Ben recovers and takes as long as he needs, and I'm sure Garry will be able to work his magic in piecing together a team that can go into the future league fixtures, which are crucial. Of course, the next fixture here at the Coliseum, although it's a fair way away, is Edinburgh, a meeting where the Gladiators hold that upper hand aggregate points wise. So big couple of championship fixtures, because it's only 4 points at Workington on Saturday. We shouldn't forget that. So choice of guests is going to be quite important.
Well, Garry needs to do what Stewart DICKSON has done tonight, really, and that's easier said than done. It depends who's available, isn't it? But
yeah, I'm not sure if I speak to Garry at the end, he's going to give me all of the details straight away. But I'll see what I can prize out of him.
It's if they could land someone like Connor Bailey potentially as one of their replacements. Obviously, a former Workington rider who goes very well round there. But as I said, it depends. He might be racing in Poland at the weekend, who knows. So but no, we got a fascinating conclusion to what's been a very interesting match. The gate stats, gate 2 is picked up a little bit here.
It's that middle of the track
again.
It
is. Gates 2 and 3 have got 10 of the 12 race wins, 83%, and they've also picked up 43 of the points as well. So we are in this next one. It's Louis Kerr's off gate 2,
Kyle Newman off
and
3.
Kyle Newman off gate 3.
And in the next heat, we've got Kyle off 4 and Joe Thompson off 2. So,
and I think Gladiators, we think, won the toss, so Berwick will have choice of gates in heat 15.
Yeah, it'll be one of the two. I mean, we know that the Gladiators chose 2 and 4, wasn't it, in heat 1? So whether or not Berwick deferred or something, we don't know. But time will tell as we.
As you said to Garry May, all the riders have contributed tonight. The Gladiators, haven't they? There's, you're right. Jacob Hook's had an up and down night. Carl Newman's had an up and down night, but they've all added points. Jacob Hook. I think everyone has got a win or a paid win, I think.
Yeah, Jacob Hook
apart from
got
Ben
a paid
Barker,
win.
who just got a second before his injury, but everyone's got a win or a paid win, so they've all contributed well.
And this is what you get from this team, isn't it? They give us absolutely everything.
Yeah, it was built that way for a reason, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was. And the important thing is tonight, we spoke about it earlier on, is that from the gate tonight, the Gladiators are in a totally different team to what they've been the last couple of home meetings here. The Berwick fans joining the stream tonight who obviously wouldn't have seen the Gladiators before. It's been a bit of a struggle getting out of the gates from the race start here recently, and it's just a real good thing that they've been able to gate. And around the Coliseum, gating is 9/10 of the law, isn't it? We know it's tight, it's technical, it's tricky to get past. It's not the be all and end all. We've seen tonight you can overtake. Troy Batchelor with a fantastic move. We do see it from time to time. So it's important, and it's just great to see that the Gladiators have their gating boots on.
Look at the ruts on the starting gate there. There are some really pronounced grooves, aren't there, for the riders to come out of?
There certainly are, and we'll see.
That gates?
That's
so we're looking at gate
5.
3 there. As we said, that's been the favourable gate.
Gate 4 is often the quietest.
Real deep groove there.
Yes. It's interesting.
4.
I think I saw earlier on, I think it was Ben Barker off gate 2, lined up in one of the early ruts and then swapped right at the last minute to something that wasn't even prepared. And that was the heat that he got the second place in. So it's great to see people braving the conditions. It's decidedly chilly.
2 minutes on. We've got a lovely crescent moon above the Coliseum at the moment as we head beyond, what's the time now, we're about 9:10, and we've still got 3 cracking heats to come here, and it is Carl Newman confirmed as the injury rider replacement for Ben Barker, so it's Troy Batchelor and Carl Newman, Louis Kerr and Zach Cook.
Yeah, this is a big 3 heats here. You're going to see the pits are going to empty now. Everybody's going to be on the viewing platform next to us here on the commentary podium, because this is important.
So here we go with the starting positions. Troy Batchelor off gate 1 in red, only one winner off that gate so far this evening. Louis Kerr in white off gate 2 for the Bandits. Carl Newman has got that favourable gate 3 in blue for the Gladiators, and it's Zach Cook, former Plymouth rider, who's off the outside gate in yellow, and some of the big hitters out on this one. Batchelor, Kerr and Cook have all been heavily amongst the points this evening. And Heat 13's always a great watch, just
Troy.
like Heat 15's.
Yeah, just looking down the track, Troy was just sort of angling out a little bit off the inside. He sort of looked like he wanted to sort of come towards the middle of the track, sort of get an angle into the first bend maybe. But you know, they're yet to really get set at the line. But we're going to need at least one of them here to fly out of the gates.
If Plymouth do win with the bonus point tonight, they should leapfrog red car in the table. And as I said, if Berwick won the meeting with the bonus point as well, they'd go joint top on 10 points with Scunthorpe.
It's tight between Troy and Louis on 1 and 2.
Yes, I'm surprised they're being allowed to start that close together, to be honest, but let's see what happens here. And Troy's come underneath him and he's got the lead. Louis Kerr, can he get around Carl Newman? Just about. Louis Kerr now trying to go around Batchelor, but Batchelor's in front. Great gating from the Australian.
Yeah, it really was, and that was really intelligent from Troy. He got the bike into bend 1 really quickly. Kyle Newman's trying with everything he's got to get past Louis Kerr. Troy's having a good long look. Kyle Newman on the inside. What a move, he caught Louis Kerr napping. Brilliant from Kyle Newman.
That came from absolutely nowhere from Carl Newman. Obviously watching what was happening to the track in that grade has helped him enormously, and Gladiators heading for a 5-1 here, which would wrap up the match victory and take a huge step towards that bonus point as well. It's a fantastic 5-1 from the Gladiators. Batchelor and Newman, red and blue, beating Kerr and Cook in white and yellow.
That got the Bar Bandits going on bend 2. They surged to the air fence there. What a brilliant ride. Kyle Newman take a bow. Troy Batchelor will rightly get a big cheer there, but Kyle Newman, I'm glad he didn't want to talk to me there, to be honest with you. If he's going to put in an effort like that. Troy Batchelor, as always, we take our hat off to you. What an inspired guest choice.
Wow, what a fantastic result for the Gladiators there. Troy Batchelor, the race winner in red. Just get a check on his time. 53.92. Carl Newman, superb overtake there to get second place in blue. Louis Kerr back in third place in white, and Zach Cook in fourth place in yellow. A 5-1 to the Gladiators. They've wrapped the match up. It's 45-33, but there's still jeopardy on the bonus point. It's 87-80. So 2 5-1s and Berwick could still take that bonus point.
Don't say that, but I'm going to enjoy watching this. I tell you, Troy Batchelor off the inside. You can see he's just a little bit outside of the centre of his gate box, and he did angle out into the track. He pushes Louis Kerr wide. You think there, can Kyle Newman cut up the inside? He didn't quite have the speed generator at the time. Louis Kerr, really intelligent going around the outside. Troy has a look here. He knows that Louis is quick, and that's where he got the bike in early. He turned it in early. Kyle Newman, though, was gradually getting quicker and quicker. And Louis Kerr in a minute, don't know if he gets out of shape or he's just caught napping, but Kyle gets an awesome amount of drive. There he is, look at that. Awesome amount of drive off bends 3 and 4, up the inside of Louis Kerr. That's all she wrote. That's all Garry May wants her to write.
Maybe a little bit of lack of match fitness for Louis Kerr. We were talking about 3
Fifth
on the
ride
trot
already.
Yeah, it's you know, I'm not taking anything away from Carl Newman at all there. It's a fantastic move, but you just wonder if Louis Kerr's just feeling it a little bit, having been out for so long.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he'll be glad he doesn't have to come out now in 14.
The only thing that counters that was there was a bit of a gap before Heat 13, wasn't there? So he did have a rest after Heats 11 and 12. But, well, Newman is out again in this one with Joe Thompson, who's another one who's had an excellent evening. Just looking at that. Just didn't get a close enough look at that to see, was that...
it was a tear-off.
A tear-off, was it?
Tear-off on the infield jet. Somebody's discarded tear-off. I mean, what a brilliant performance this has been from the Gladiators tonight. It has to be, as we see Gareth, who's usually filling one of our 2 positions on the centre green tonight, doing a great job of it.
He is, excellent.
As well in talk conversations with the starting team. Nice to see they've got a hot coffee in their hand.
Yes. Can't get the staff up here.
No, I left my coat in the truck, which is now a very silly decision because it's got very chilly. But no, what a great performance from the Gladiators. And, you know, Berwick have given it everything they've got, but it's it's perhaps just that everything that's gone on in recent weeks with them, it's perhaps caught up a little bit here, and
to do this against the odds for Plymouth without Ben Barker just having that one ride, then as I said, every single one of them has contributed to this.
Tells you what you need to know about that pit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's.
Coming to tape, sponsored by 3-0 Racing. For the Bandits, we have got in white Danyon HUME, and in yellow Starke.
So the riders coming around for Heat 14. And in white off gate 1, Danyon HUME, who picked up a good second place in his last outing for the Bandits. Joe Thompson in blue for the Gladiators in gate 2. Paul Starke for the Bandits in yellow off gate 3. Carl Newman, the hero of the last race, in red off gate 4 for the Gladiators. So the Gladiators, I think I'm right in saying, just need a second place. And they will not only take the win, but also the bonus point. And that will leapfrog them over the Red Car Bears in the league table.
And that will get the crowd going. And as Jason Edwards said, Jason was a great interview there in the pits. Great to see a good crowd in tonight. And this will really warm everybody up a bit, with everything that's going on, that, this team can win and they can perform at this level.
Another close meeting that they finally got over the line, isn't it?
It is.
As I said before, it's a fine margin between success and failure, and they've had some very narrow home defeats, but they've finished this one off tonight, and they'll take a lot of confidence from that.
Yeah, exactly. They can take it to Workington on Saturday. A tough task. Workington look pretty formidable at home at the moment. Pretty formidable anywhere they go at the moment. But let's try and get it over the line here.
So, Newman and Joe Thompson versus HUME and Starke, Heat 14. And there's Joe Thompson, who's been brilliant all night. Carl Newman, can he just hold off the two Bandits? He does. He comes through into second place, and the Gladiators heading for 5-1 and that bonus point as things stand.
Absolutely fantastic. From the moment this meeting started, pretty much on the Gladiators, they've been on it from the gates, and they were on it again. Joe Thompson out in front, he's having a superb night. But a word for Kyle Newman as well, who was over with Ben Barker when he was on the deck. He helped his team captain out, and he's doing everything he can for his team with two huge rides with a lap to go.
They're dominating the closing stages of this meeting. This is going to be a second successive 5-1 off the back of a 4-2, and it's two of the heroes tonight, Joe Thompson and Carl Newman, who are going to lead this one home. The bonus point is in the bag for the Gladiators. It finishes blue, red, yellow, white. Joe Thompson, his third race win of the night.
Fantastic, and that got the home straight. The crowd on the home straight in the NHS stand, they were all up on their feet. The Bar Bandits again running down to the fence. The crowd on the back straight giving the team a huge ovation, and they're going to get a big round of applause as they come around here, and rightfully so. Absolutely superb from both Joe Thompson and Kyle Newman tonight. But I want to give a special word to Kyle. It's not been, we talked about his inconsistency, but he's been superb.
53.57 is the winning time for Joe Thompson, who finishes the night on 11 points from his programme rides. Carl Newman second in red for the Gladiators. Paul Starke third in yellow. Danyon HUME fourth in white. A 5-1 to the Gladiators. They'd already won the match. It's now 50-34. That confirms the bonus point. They've got it 92 to 81. So a full 3-point haul for Plymouth this evening, and we've still got Heat 15 to come.
Yeah, great to see Carl Newman get a big round of applause there from the supporters who are close to the pit gate here as well. He's done a sterling job. I do wonder if Gary's going to ask him to go to the well one final time here in 15 as a reward.
Well, why not? Why not?
Yeah,
he's on
exactly.
Fire,
I mean, he will deserve it if he gets that reward. But then again, how do you
could
tell?
stick Joe Thompson out, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, you could stick any number of them
Batchelor.
out here, couldn't you?
Oh, as I said, there's solid scoring, right? Even Jacob Hook, who's he's got paid for 5, which is still a really good contribution.
Given that Troy and Dan are in conversation with Gary here,
so
I
it's
do
going to be
wonder
Troy
if this is the
Batchelor and
pair.
Dan Thompson, and they're just deciding which gates they're going to take. So he's gone for his big hitters, which
and
which is understandable.
We spoke about it earlier. You can take your hat off to every single one of this team tonight with the effort they've put in, losing Ben Barker, but Troy Batchelor, I don't think you can say enough just how professional the last 2 weeks Troy's been for the Gladiators. And as you say, that unbelievable record he's had of races around the Coliseum.
Yes.
it's a record that's improved again tonight.
So it was 6 out of 9, and it's now, 9 out of 13, where he's got a win or a paid win in his 13 rides here. But the two for Plymouth, or 2 meetings for Plymouth, 1 for Workington. But that is some strike rate, isn't it?
It certainly is, and you know, it's a shame we don't have a home fixture coming up soon that we can get Troy back down here for. But you know, superb job, and let's just hope it's not as successful for him on Saturday night.
Well, it looks like Jason Edwards has got his wish, because I think that was him in white. Yeah, Louis Kerr's not in this one. So it's Jason Edwards and Zach Cook.
I wonder if you hit the nail on the head, Nigel, about Louis, and perhaps just a bit of race sharpness, if you like. You know, he's already had his 5 rides tonight, and whilst he gave it everything he had in Heat 13, as you say, Kyle just found that drive and perhaps caught him napping a little bit, and you know, he's not had a lot of track time. This will bring him on a lot. You know, Berwick are going to see a better rider for it, and he's all action, Louis Kerr, and if you're not 100%, then
yeah, they don't want to push their luck with him, do they?
No.
Because he is absolutely crucial for them at the moment, given all the other problems they've got. So he finishes the night, I think, with 10 and 2 bonus. Drew Kemp 3, Danyon HUME 2, Freddie HODDER 0, and Paul Starke has got 4. I think I'm right in saying, we're just getting the score charts there. Yeah, so 10 plus 2. Troy Batchelor, we said 10 plus 1, Dan Thompson 9, Carl Newman 8, paid 11, Joe Thompson 11, 3 race wins in that haul. As I said, solid all the way through from Plymouth.
Gary May with 50 points as well.
Yes.
Well done to Gary.
Dan Thompson in blue, in white with Jason Edwards, and they're all under the 2-minute time allowance, 2 minutes all 4 riders.
What gates? That will be the big question now.
Yeah, it's confirmed as Troy Batchelor, Dan Thompson, Jason Edwards and Zach Cook.
Zach going round to gate 4. I think I can only presume that Red Car had the choice. Berwick had the choice. Yeah. Yeah, I still not got over Red Car winning here last week. That's what it is.
So, well, this is almost like a bit of a celebration for the Plymouth riders, or Batchelor obviously a guest, but a celebration where a night's work very well done. So here's the confirmed lineup. Troy Batchelor in gate 1 in red for the Gladiators, 10 plus 1 tonight. Jason Edwards, who's been an excellent guest for Berwick, he's in white off gate 2, 8 plus 1. He's got Dan Thompson, he's got paid for 10, he's in blue off gate 3 for the Gladiators. And Zach Cook, who had an excellent start to the evening with 7 from his first 3 rides, just tailed off in the last one, but he's in gate 4 in yellow for the Bandits.
Yeah, as you say, it's a bit of a victory lap, isn't it, now for the Plymouth boys, and they've deserved it. They've deserved it with how they've been in recent fixtures. They've deserved this change of luck, and you know, once they get these 4 laps out of the way, I seriously hope that there are plenty of people who stay behind and give them the round of applause and the cheers they deserve on Mark's flatbed as they'll go around and greet the crowd.
Carl Newman paid 11 tonight. That's
superb.
As I said, he's been a bit inconsistent, but he's had a good night tonight. Here we go for the final race of the night.
No, Troy.
Batchelor, I think, has broken the tapes.
Troy.
Need confirmation from the referee, but I think he was the one who instigated that.
Well, there was a bit of rolling from Jason Edwards in white.
I think it was
But
Batchelor.
I don't think Jason touches the tapes. I think that's where it goes wrong. You can see Jason inching. Dan triggers, and it's Troy who touches
well, Jason
the tapes.
triggered it, didn't he? But Troy Batchelor's gone through them. Might just well stick Troy Batchelor off 15 here.
Yeah, he's touched the tapes, and that's the issue, isn't it? So what does Gary do now? Does he send him off 15?
I'd
Does
send
he
him off 15.
Bring somebody in? What money on Troy flying around off 15 to grab a second place here?
I would send him off 15.
It'd be box office, wouldn't it?
He's not gone into the pits yet, so
it's a big debate.
He's chatting with Carl Newman and Garry May.
He's not going anywhere.
No, I think he's Well, that should be entertaining, seeing him flying around at the back. If that's the call. I'm just seeing if there's any movement in the pits for Jacob Hook or Joe Thompson, but
well, I mean, Joe's out there
up.
with yeah.
Yeah, he's going to go off 15. So brilliant.
Yeah, this could be quite funny. This could be strap yourself in and enjoy watching this, because Troy's been flying all night, and he's going to give them a head start now.
And he'll go for this, won't he? He's not.
And he'll have to go off 4 as well, won't he?
Yes, I think so. But he ain't going to toddle around at the back. He's really going to go for this, isn't he?
Well, he's going to have clear track, isn't he? For the first.
He's going to relish the battle.
Yeah, this would be quite funny. He's having a good laugh and joke down there at the moment.
Well, he won't be very happy with Jason Edwards, who rather sold him the dummy there, didn't he, and sent him through the tapes. He almost sent Dan Thompson through the tapes as well.
Stewart DICKSON just having a good laugh and joke with Garry May in front of us as well. I think Stewart's trying to barter that Troy doesn't go off 15 or not, but I was going to say, because that will switch the gate positions around now, won't it? I'm sure that'll now have to switch the gate positions around, but yeah, this is a different twist to the end of the night.
Well, we've had everything tonight, haven't we? We expected it to be tight, you know, 2 evenly matched sides, and apart from, you know, the last 3 races, it has almost, excuse the cliche, been on a knife edge, but Plymouth have really rammed it home in the last 3 races.
Yeah, one thing I will say, Troy's made an absolute meal of the tapes.
Yes.
Just watching the poor starting team try and reattach them, but no, this will be worth it. You know, we thought it would be a victory lap, and we're about to see Troy Batchelor try and give it everything to see what he can do. That's all he can do now. Just see what's possible from a 15-metre handicap.
As things stand at the moment, working to the course Saturday. It's Glasgow, then away at the end of the month. The Gladiators' next 2 meetings, and then they're back here at the Coliseum on Tuesday, July the 2nd, when the Edinburgh Monarchs with Josh Pickering will be in town. Paco Castagna, of course, who guested here recently for the Gladiators.
Josh Pickering, somebody who knows his way around here as well.
He's a joy to watch around here, isn't he? Joy to watch wherever he is, to be honest.
Shows what I know.
Oh, no, he's 15 metres back in the gate 3 position, Batchelor.
So they have swapped around then?
Yeah, so Dan Thompson is on the inside in blue. It's Jason Edwards in white in 2, Batchelor off 15 in red off 3, and Zach Cook in yellow off 4.
We need a bit of whitewash now, just to show Troy where he's got to go from. The crowd are trying to urge the start marshal to bring the 15 metres forward a little bit.
This will be interesting, whether he can make any indentate. I mean, Edwards and Kerr are going well tonight, but it adds a little bit of spice to this last
start
race,
marshal's going to have to be quick.
He does. He's going to have to leg it, isn't he? Leg it off to the right. Oh, what's he doing there? Oh, no.
I was going to say I'd be trying to walk through gates 1 and 2, but I think Dan and Jason are going to be too close to each other.
Yeah, he needs to. They need to give him a bit of time here, don't they?
This will be worth it.
Yeah, he's out the way. So here we go. And it's Dan Thompson who's gated first. Troy Batchelor already hot on the heels of Jason Edwards and Zach Cook. Edwards in second place, Zach Cook is third. But it's Dan Thompson leading the way.
Yeah, Troy's going to give it everything here. You just wonder whether it's going to be enough, but Dan Thompson superb from the start. I don't think we really paid enough attention to that as well. We've all got our eyes on Troy, but Dan was electric from the tapes. He's still going to give it a go, but the victory lap has begun for the Gladiators and they've deserved it. Dan Thompson super stylish. Troy isn't far off the pace, you know, with a lap to go.
Yeah, Dan Thompson on his way to, what's he going to be, 13-point haul, I think. A 12 paid 13, I think he's going to end up with, but The Thompson boys have done a great job this evening. Dan finishing it all off here with a race victory. Blue, white, yellow, red. Troy Batchelor couldn't make up that big handicap, but a fine end to the evening for the Plymouth Gladiators.
I'll tell you what, if we get to see a replay, Troy deserves a huge round of applause. I know it's a 4th place, but it wasn't a ride of a bloke who's finished in 4th place. He wasn't far off at all at the end there, Troy Batchelor. Very close to the Berwick Bandits. Good to see them coming around and get a round of applause as well.
Dan Thompson, 52.75 is the race winner. Jason Edwards in 2nd place. Zach Cook in 3rd. Troy Batchelor in 4th. It gives us the full time score, or the final score I should say, 53-37 to the Gladiators, 95-84 on aggregate. So the full 3 points going to Plymouth. As I said, it lifts them 1 place up the table ahead of the Red Car Bears. But let's just hope this really kick-starts their season now and they can really start climbing that ladder.
Yeah, definitely. There's a good wry smile on Troy's face there as he came back. I think we're going to wait for them to come round now.
Yeah, 95-84 the aggregate result. So, yeah, the tractors or the trucks just coming around and take the riders on their victory parade. But yeah, the announcer just saying a big round of applause to the Bandits. Louis Kerr and Jason Edwards, their 2 top scorers with 10. Zach Cook with 8. That lower down, they lacked a little bit of punch. Paul Starke 4, Drew Kemp 3, Danyon HUME 2, and Freddie HODDER 0. But the Gladiators is a great looking score chart. Dan Thompson 12, his brother Joe 11, Troy Batchelor 10, Carl Newman paid for 11, Alfie BOWTELL 7, Jacob Hook 3, paid 5, and of course Ben Barker just completed that one ride with a 2nd place, adding up to 53-37, 95-84 on aggregate. And they cope well. Obviously very sad to lose Ben Barker, but they cope really well in his absence.
Oh, absolutely superb. And you know, they're about to go on a lap as Maximus gives Alfie BOWTELL a huge hug on the truck. You know, they're going to deserve this victory lap because, as I say, it's been tough the last couple of meetings at home. Good to see Troy Batchelor is going to come out and join them as well.
That's lovely. Garry May's got his arm around him. That's great to see. The injury rider replacement, in case you're interested, I think mustered 3 points. So the next match is a away meeting. Obviously, they are at Workington on Saturday, and then they've got Glasgow Tigers at the end of the month on the 28th of June. And as I said, we're back here on July the 2nd for the home fixture against the Edinburgh Monarchs.
Yeah, Garry May just giving a huge thanks to Troy Batchelor, which is fantastic to see.
Yes, that's the next home meeting live stream. That's on BSN, that Monarchs meeting on July the 2nd.
Interesting listening to Troy there. He's thanking the Plymouth fans for making him one of his own for the last couple of weeks. And whilst we're on the stream, just place our thanks as well to Troy, because superb professional the last 2 weeks, guesting, and absolutely magnificent tonight. He almost got there at the end. He was just saying on the tannoy there, he couldn't see with the amount of dust in heat 15.
So he'll be trying to inflict a defeat on Plymouth at the weekend. Thank you ever so much, Joe,
cheers,
for your excellent contribution. Thank you everyone for watching tonight. I hope you've had an enjoyable evening. It's a Plymouth win. They also get the bonus point here. But a very good evening from all of us here at the Coliseum.